What is going on, good people? What is going on, good people? Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back. We are back in the building. Going to be covering this situation. This situation going on. It started with the Emu Udoka thing. I don't even know if I got his name right, tell you the truth, but Stephen A's reporting of it. I know some of you have already seen this. Stephen A's reporting of it, giving his analysis of it, and a female co-worker, a female employee for ESPN, a black female employee for ESPN, basically tried to come in and G-check him. Told him stop, like a hard stop. Some of you saw that. We're going to be getting into that. We're going to break that down. And Michael Vick Perkins down in the chat, when I guess he looked at the title and where I said Stephen A. Smith had a manosphere moment, he says, you mean ninja moment, nigga moment. But I get it, let's go. But no, I meant manosphere moment. A nigga moment implies something else. A nigga moment could either be just there's a few different definitions of it. Conflict between two niggas, or it could be somebody who one of the definitions, somebody who denies aspects of racism, but then sometimes they're going to get hit with it so hard in your face that you're going to have your moment where you're going to realize, oh shit, I'm not in the club. Like people tell me I'm going to have my moment like that when I deny or shut down, the argument on when we start complaining about racism, white supremacy. I'm like, no, we passed that. The shit is on the decline. We quit bitching about it. They say that I'm going to have a moment that's going to smack me in the face so hard. A nigga moment is going to smack me in the face so hard I won't be able to deny it. But this was a manosphere moment that smacked Stephen A in the face so hard that he can't deny it. If he listening to what we're saying, he know what we're talking about now because it hit him in the face. It came to his front door. It came right to his damn workplace on his show. And it can't be denied. But we're going to get deep into that. We're going to get deep into that. So that's the pre-ramble before the show starts. So without further ado, let's get ready to go. Let's get it.
Peace, folks. This is X from TPOT Media. Open your mind and wake your black ass up. You know what time it is. Hit that damn like button as you make your way in the door. Grab a seat, settle in, get ready. It's the Grown Man Hour with your host, my man, Bernard Riley.
What is up? What is up? What is going on, good people? Welcome back. Shout out to everybody in the building. JC the Conqueror, one of the biggest supporters of this space. Definitely got to shout him out and give him his props. We do appreciate you. Came on through with the first comment. Said this is going to be lit. Absolutely. Got a good one. Lined up for you. Joe Ethereal, another major supporter, came through. Said salute. Manosphere adjacency is literally being made manifest. You love to see it. I absolutely do. I've been saying it for a while. All the things that get talked about in this space that came, the underground, the manosphere is everywhere. It hit YouTube, to where content creators who normally walked around eggshells, walked on eggshells over the topics that we tend to cover a lot. They normally took a completely different take on these topics that we always cover. Now they stepping in it. They stepping right in it, and I love it. I love it, but it's going beyond YouTube content creators. Now we're seeing the manifestation. We see the manifestations play out where, Stephen A. Smith had to check. Stephen A. Smith, I almost did that Wayne Brady line, but no, Stephen A. Smith had to check a chick, put up on his show, basically trying to run it, trying to house him, trying to tell him stop. Like, that was the thing that just bothered me the most. The way that she said, so she didn't even say, she didn't even put a sentence. It's like she completed a sentence. It was a period, a pause, then a stop. Like, woman, half his age. Half his age. She a new kid on the block, thinking she running shit. But we about to get into that. We about to break down a lot of things. How, ESPN is in the middle of what I gotta call an unhostile takeover. Yes, an unhostile takeover. We're going to be getting into that unhostile takeover that ESPN is experiencing right now. We're going to be getting into that. We're going to be getting into a number of things. I'm going to be pulling up and showing you to really shed light on exactly what's going on with the unhostile takeover of ESPN. We're going to be getting into a number of things. We're going to be breaking a lot down here, but shout out to Joe Ethereum in the building. Shout out to Dolomite, says, even when they don't want to give the Black Manosphere credit, their actions and words does it for them. He says, keep up the good work. Absolutely, 100%. He also goes on to say, Stephen A. Smith done grew his testicles and grew his nuts back and been on a road checking females like he used to before the Ray Rice incident. See, I didn't notice it was an uptake or drop off in it. I didn't notice he was doing it more or less before. That I didn't know. That's new information. So that's interesting. VD Chantley in the building. Shout out to you. Mike and Vince Perkins. Yeah, I addressed that in the beginning when my opening ramble. He says, you mean nigga moment? No, I mean Manosphere moment. It's a Manosphere moment when something like that happens, where you have to stop what you're doing and address it. When particularly Black Manosphere, like women overstep their bounds. Women overstep their bounds all the time. But when you have to call it and check it that hard live in front of millions of people, yeah, he had him a live Manosphere moment on the air. Yeah, he had that moment. Because it wasn't just that she disagreed with him. He's doing his show. So I don't know what made her the expert to just call into his show. He had somebody there hosting him who was asking him the questions. I think it was some kind of panel there. They had a set group of people that they were bringing in to talk about the situation. So he had his show set out, but this person damn near forcefully intruded, in my opinion. Forcefully intruded. Like it I don't even know how that even was appropriate. That's that a fellow ESPN figurehead of some sort calling into his show to basically check him about what he's doing and what he's talking about. And the way that it looked, it didn't seem like it was planned. It didn't seem like it was planned. It seemed like she sort of forced her way in so she could check him and make sure that he's speaking correctly on this issue. That's what it looked like. And here he is, Stephen A. Smith, old enough to be her father. He has more experience doing what he's doing than damn near years that she's been alive. But she thinks she can call and just check him and tell him to stop on his own show. That was interesting. But shout out to Winthrop, shout out to Logan JJ, shout out to Modern Day Problems. Appreciate your support. Shout out to A Truism. He says, keeping it black, keeping it strag first. Kiss the keeping it black equals keeping it strag first. Kiss the ring, Maggle. That's what she wanted him to do. She wanted him to kiss the ring. Iron Attic in the building. Paul N. I almost called you Paul Game. Going to shout out a few more to people that made it in bright and early. Shout out to Paul N in the building. We almost at the 10-minute mark, about to get things started. He said, and this woman is basically new to ESPN, absolutely. And she's like a sideline reporter. That's what I understand that she is. Aside, that's what she do. She's a sideline reporter. So she interviewed people like during the games, and she's currently looking at in this picture. She's looking at LeBron James like she's ready, like she would just love to get me too by LeBron James. I mean, she she in there calling out. That's one of the hypocrisies. Can we just throw that out there? That's one of the hypocrisies. And let me put that back up. I should have had it off to the side so y'all can still see me. I'm like this. That's one of the hypocrisies. That's one of the hypocrisies in the whole, Me Too thing. She's looking at LeBron like she would love to get Me Too'd by him. But we gotta stop all this workplace harassment. We must protect these women from advances being made from the ones we don't want to fuck. But if you LeBron, like it ain't a damn thing LeBron could say to her right now when she got her fist in the air for Me Too, for feminism and all of the whole thing. She trying to pull up on Stephen A. Smith and check him because Stephen A. Smith is asking for more details. Stephen A. Smith is calling for like some protection of the guy, Emu Udoka, because he kept it real. This type of thing happens all the time. And if it was a consensual situation, and if they do have to fire him due to company guidelines and policies, that's something that they normally do, or they normally suspend, they normally fire. They put it out there kind of vaguely what happened. We don't exactly know the full extent of it. They fire him, they suspend him or whatever. But his name is still kind of clean. He still can kind of get work in the league. He may have to, go be an assistant coach for somebody and work his way back up. But it's kind of an old boys network where they kind of protect each other because it's all kind of workplace fraternizing that goes on. It's all kind of workplace fraternizing that goes on. If somebody break company policy, they get caught. Yeah, they get their smack on the wrist. Stephen A. Smith was just trying to make sure if it all was consensual, we're not going to drag this man through the mud and make him unemployable ever. So that's what Stephen A. Smith was calling for. If it was all consensual, we not about to make him look like a rapist or something like that. That's what Stephen A. Smith was calling for. She was basically saying, no, we're not going to do that. We're not going to ask any details about the women. We're not going to deal with the question of why, because the question of, okay, and check this is another important thing. I'm about to get into this. I'm going to play the tape in a little bit. Another important thing. They asked if it was company policy that he got to be fired for sleeping around with a staffer. Was that female staffer not sleeping around? Why aren't they fired? That's a question that's put out there on the table. And then there's the question of the power dynamic. There's a question of the power dynamic. Other than the owner of the team or the GM, other than the owner of the team and GM, Udoka probably got the most power out of anybody in there. So I understand having rules in place where somebody in that much of a power position can't be sleeping with the staff that's beneath him. You can't be putting the staff that's beneath him in a sexual way. I understand that because you daughter niggas out there, y'all don't want your daughter and got her a good job. She had a cubicle. You don't want a man who's in a position of authority over her to basically come over to her desk and tap her on the shoulder with his dick and be like, "You want to keep your job, don't you?" You don't want that. You don't want that. So there's rules in place to make sure that men. Notice I said men. Because I don't think they do a whole lot when it comes to women in power positions sleeping around with the guys. I don't think they do a whole lot there. But they put stuff in place to make sure that men in power positions are not abusing that power to sleep with women who may very well feel like, man, or just notice those words, feel like they can't say no to this man because saying no to him may prevent future promotions or future this or future that or blah, 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 the whole works. It may do that. Now, here's the catch. Here's the catch. I know of a situation where there's a woman. This is a white woman. I know somebody who works with her. She don't know how to do her job. Okay? This white woman do not know how to do her job. The job is kind of technical. They're basically building and testing engines for vehicles that will be out on the market in 2025. That's what they do. This girl is going through the apprenticeship. She don't know how to do the job. She's fucking her way past all the benchmarks and qualifying steps. Here's the catch. The men who are passing her through, they could get fired for that. The white girl who's not adequately learning her job and auctioning off pussy in exchange for learning how to do her job can't get fired for that. So she could not know how to do her job and bartering and trading with pussy in order to pass the benchmarks of the parts of things she don't know how to do and not get fired. She cannot get fired. She's incompetent and fraternizing and tossing up pussy at the job, but she can't get fired. But the men in that power position, can get fired for having sex with her. So it's like the rules are set up to where the man in that position of power can't abuse his power, but she could be incompetent and abuse her pussy. You see, that's the conundrum that we're in. And this whole Udoka thing isn't new. The whole Udoka thing isn't new. Some of y'all will remember about in 2004, no, not 2004, I'm sorry, 2018. Mark Cuban got under some fire because there was a staffer who did some horrible shit. He was beating his wife. Mark Cuban, the guy, I think he helped Mark Cuban meet he helped Mark Cuban meet his wife and everything. And Mark Cuban knew him before he owned the Dallas Mavericks. So Mark Cuban hired him, and they was boys. But the dude had issues. He was beating his wife, like beating her. Like it was some images. Like it didn't fall under that. It seemed like it didn't fall under that mutual combat type of shit. That y'all know how we talk about it. Y'all know how we do here. Always pull up the stats. If you want to understand what's on the screen right there, drop down that hit the like button part. Drop that. Just double click. Shit, hold on. I can make that go away. There we go. Okay. All right. There we go. All right. All right. We talk about these stats all the time. We do. About intimate partner violence and how women are more violent in relationships. We talk about that all the time. How women are more violent in relationships. I got to get one of those on the other side now that I'm sitting over to the left. But this wasn't that situation. This guy that Mark Cuban was backing. One of his boys, I think he was black too. He was actually beating his wife. And Mark Cuban knew about it. They, reports leaked out that this was going on with a Dallas Mavericks executive who had an executive position. He didn't get fired. And then this man, sparked up a relationship, an entanglement with one of the people that worked for one of the women that worked for the Dallas Mavericks. And guess what? He hit her ass too. And then so Rachel Nichols was right there giving Mark Cuban this was 4 years ago. She giving Mark Cuban the third degree. How did you let this man who you already knew had a history of violence? You didn't do nothing about it. You swept it under the rug for him, and then you let him. Now he's dating female staffers who they felt they rightfully felt like, hey, they chose to fuck him, but he he left. This guy was left on the job and dating women that worked for Mark Cuban, and he knew this dude was violent. So that's when Mark Cuban was under fire. And then it was all kind of workplace fraternizing, all kind of sexual harassment reports from other men there. But check this out. Now I broke down how they put all the protections in place. All the violence aside, the sexual harassment aspect of this, they put all the protections in place for the woman involved, to where she could sleep her way through to the top. She can basically use the power that she have through her sexuality to get what she want from the men in the organization. But it's protections for her. The man who was in the position of authority or had a job higher ranking than hers is going to be fired, because again, they'll be able to argue that she felt like she had to do it, otherwise she potentially wasn't going to be able to keep her job or wasn't going to get fired. Okay, so all the protections is there for the woman on the ground. That goes to the situation with Udoka, how and people ask the question, well, if it was another female staffer that he was having sex with and the company policy said they wasn't supposed to be having sex, but it's written and worded in a way to where she's technically allowed to have sex with him, but he's not allowed to have sex with her. That's how weird the shit is worded. That's how weird the protection game for women is. She's allowed to have consensual sex with him and keep her job, but he's not allowed to have consensual sex with her and keep her job. Which means she could throw the pussy at him as much as she wants. You see what I'm saying? She could offer him as many blowjobs as she want, but he can't accept. That's how it works. That's how it works. And then so when Mark Cuban really done got him on the screen because he was in that discussion with Rachel Nichols when he got on under fire because there was a lot of sexual harassment going on within the Dallas Mavericks organization. And then she said the way that you ward that off and that you prevent sexual harassment from higher ranking executives who are male harassing lower ranking female employees and staffers. You want to know how you fix that problem? You put more women in power positions. That was her answer. I couldn't find the tape of her saying it, but that was her answer. Put more women in power positions. So think about that for a second. You give them all the protections on the ground where they could, auction off pussy for a way up. They can't get fired for it. They offering pussy for a promotion or just to get you past benchmarks that you're not qualified. Doing that basically like the white girl I told you about. She's incompetent, but she's fucking her way through all the benchmarks where she's supposed to know how to do the job and pass the test. She's fucking her way through it. She's allowed to not know how to do her job and trade pussy in exchange and not get fired. But the men who she's doing that with can get fired. Or if a man who she doesn't want to have sex with does that, then it's sexual harassment. She's protected. He's not, even though she's the one benefiting from that system. So that woman has power on the ground. And they're also saying, in order to prevent further power imbalance, hire more female executives high up in high positions. So they'll have power up at the top and power on the ground. And then so in response to all those stuff that Mark Cuban was going through when he had a similar situation as the Boston Celtics here, what did he do? He hired a black female CEO. And 40% of his executive positions, he basically cleaned house and gave them to women. He had to do that to clear the name of his organization. So he hired a black female CEO, hired 40% female staffers and executives, because it was 0%. He was running the old boys network. He was. But so basically, so he hired female executives, black female CEO, and so the women got all the power on the ground, can fuck their way to the top, do what they want, and not get a smack on the wrist for it. And the women up top and the executive positions who do all the hiring are women. So like he literally said, I'm going to own it, you're going to run it. Basically, it was a full unhostile takeover. We've seen a full unhostile takeover of the Dallas Mavericks. Mark Cuban just own it. Women are running his shit. Because of a situation with some sexual harassment. It was some domestic shit going on that was horrible, but because of some situation with some sexual harassment. Like that happened with Mark Cuban. This was in 2018. I wasn't really doing content tough back then, but I was looking at that like, hold on. Yeah, it's sexual harassment situations going on here. And y'all response to it, the way that y'all want to fight against it is hire more women in positions of authority. Hire more women in positions of authority. That's what y'all doing. That's how y'all want to fight against it. But that's how they do an unhostile takeover. But I'm going to talk more about this unhostile takeover when I get into ESPN schematics and politics. But I do want to roll the not so beautiful bean footage of the chick Malika. I forgot her name already. Of her trying to check Stephen A. Smith. But Sodomy and Chicken in the building with the $5 super chat says, it's not wise to get laid from the same place you get paid. I agree, unless you don't care about your job. Udoka fucked up. Absolutely. This ain't the show where I talk about him fucking up. Well, I mean, where I try to make excuses for him. No, he shouldn't have been doing it. I'm just talking about the policy and the way everything is, is set up and in place. You know, just like, everybody make a big deal. Okay, he cheated on his wife. He cheated on Nia Long, whatever. Okay, the woman who he cheated with, based off reports, was also married. So she's a cheater too. She's a cheater too, cheating with a staffer cheating with the head coach of the organization that she works for. She's clear and clean. She's not going to get fired. She's a she's a cheating whore who's trying to fuck her way up the ranks. She's not going to get fired. The evil cheating man who's fucking a female staffer is going to get fired and get his name dragged through the mud and probably can't even get hired in the NBA ever again. That's how it works. Now, he's stupid. He's stupid because if you're the head coach for the Boston Celtics, 38, 39 years old, good looking dude. I think he's a former athlete. Come on, bro. Like you didn't have to have sex with her. You could have had sex with somebody, just not her. I will say that, but I would be remiss if I didn't speak to how the power dynamic is set up to where we need more female executives in positions of power. But the women who don't got power, they still got power. You know what I mean? They still got power and ultimately protected. Like there's a full hostile takeover at every level. The women at the lower point, the ones on the ground, the ones higher up, full hostile takeover. But let's get into this thing. I make sure y'all hit the like button. We got 253 people in here. That's how I know we in for a good one today, a good turnout. Let me get where we at. All right, let's go ahead and get into this. Let's get into this not so beautiful bean footage. Let's get into this. Oops, I don't want to show all that. There we go. That's the view I'm looking for right there. All right, let's go ahead and get into this. What have I been talking about here? What have I been talking about here all this time? I'm ranting and rambling. All right, here's the deal. Okay. Where this tape picks up is right when she called into Stephen A. Smith's show. But just a quick backstory. Stephen A. Smith was basically talking about how they handled it. He's saying the Boston Celtics handled it wrong. He said if you're going to fire the man, just fire the man and release a general statement about a company policy, blah 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 blah, and let us speculate as to what happened. But if you're going to be messy about it, if you're gonna be messy about it, then put it all out there. He was basically saying, don't leave us to just speculate on what's going on. He was basically have transparency on what's going on. Other than that, don't drag the man name through the mud. Just either suspend him or fire him, and don't let everything leak out. Stephen A. Smith Stephen A. Smith get called a coon. I don't know why. I mean, Kwame Brown like to do that just because Kwame don't like him. But Stephen A. Smith, in my opinion, he's pretty objective, emotional but objective. That's kind of a contradiction. But Stephen A. Smith, he's not bad. He's not bad, because basically what he was trying to do is protect his brother. If it was consensual, Stephen A. Smith is basically saying if it was consensual, which the reports show that it is, then fire him for breaking a company policy or suspend him for breaking a company policy, but keep it clean. Keep this man's name clean. He broke a policy. He didn't break the law. Okay? There's a difference. There's a difference between breaking company policy versus breaking the law. That's the distinction or delineation that Stephen A. Smith was talking about. Then this chick called into his show and tried to G-check him about some on some like he's on some Me Too shit, like he's trying to like he's trying to protect the predator or some shit. That's how she came at him. But it's a female unhostile takeover at ESPN. We're going to be circling back to that. It's a female unhostile takeover going on at ESPN. Y'all be talking about y'all let women in the space. Y'all let women in the Manosphere. No, the Manosphere takes place on YouTube. YouTube's an open algorithm. Like you can just make content and steal talking points. Can't stop nobody from doing that. But ESPN is a different thing. They have to bring people in. I'm going to talk about this that unhostile takeover going on ESPN in a little bit. But let's go ahead and get into this not so beautiful bean footage. But that's the backup. That's the setup. Stephen A. Smith was basically saying they handling it sloppy. If it was all consensual, he broke company policy. He should be suspended. If you're going to fire him, fire him. If you're going to suspend him, suspend him. But don't release all kind of stuff to have people speculating and have people thinking this. Don't make his name so dirty that he can't get hired again. You know, it happens all the time. Coaches get fired over something that was, you know, violation of policy, a violation of this, violation of that. You may see them assistant coaching for Greg Popovich a year later and then work their way back into a head coaching spot. That happens all the time. So that's what Stephen A. Smith was basically arguing for. Don't make this man name that dirty if it was all consensual. And this chick called into his show on this bullshit. Here we go.
Stephen A., with all due respect, this is not about pointing the finger. Stop. What became apparent to me in this press conference is that pointing the finger. Stephen A., with all due respect, this is not about pointing the finger. Stop.
Did y'all hear that? That was the part that pissed me off the most. I ain't gonna lie. Stephen A., this is yeah, fair use. She's like, Stephen A., this is not about pointing the finger. She put a period on that sentence. And then said, stop, with another period or exclamation point. If somebody tells you a whole sentence, like I do that to my sons. If somebody gives you a whole sentence and the entirety of the sentence is one word, one syllable, stop. In end of sentence. That's how you do when you believe you have a position of authority over a person. If you're giving them instructions and directions that's just a one word sentence, I don't have to respect you enough in this situation to fully explain myself. I'm going to give you one word and you need to adhere to it. That's essentially what happened with that stop.
With all due respect, this is not about pointing the finger. Stop. What became apparent to me in this press conference is that we do not have all of the information here. And it was frustrating to me.
Real quick, Stephen A. Smith is an insider. He be having all the information. Stephen A. Smith be having the answer, Sway. Little funny side note, Kanye admitted that what Sway was telling him was right. So he had to bite his words and say, actually, Sway did have the answers. But that's a whole nother story. But Stephen A. Smith do be having the inside information. He has his sources. He got people in every organization in the NBA that he can call and find out what's going on. So she can cut it. She's a sideline reporter that's been working there for less than a year, probably. I don't know exactly how long she's been working there, but hell. But anyway.
That the Celtics declined to elaborate or to give more specifics about what exactly the rule breaking was that led us to this point. So that I just want to get that out of the way first. But to answer your question, Molly, I think what stood out to me, give more specific conference, is that we do not have all of the information here. And it was frustrating to me that the Celtics declined to elaborate or to give more specifics about what exactly the rule breaking was that led us to this point. So that I just want to get that out of the way first. But to answer your question, Molly, I think what stood out to me.
That was Stephen A. Smith basically saying, he said, I'll respond, but go ahead. But he said, you said some bullshit. Now you're trying to move on to something else. But he's saying, no, I'm going to respond to that bullshit. But go ahead and finish.
I think what stood out to me is that Brad Stevens, he was upset. That's what stood out to me about what he termed rampant Twitter BS is the word that he used, that women were unfairly dragged into this within the Celtics organization. You could see that Brad Stevens was visibly upset about this. And I also found that to be gross and unnecessary, that folks were bringing in the names and the images of women that is just not a fact. That was purely speculation. And so to me, that is what stood out. But the Celtics.
And by the way, Stephen A. Smith didn't do that. That's Twitter. That's Twitter speculating about what's going on. That's Twitter Googling Boston Celtics female employees, and I guess looking to see which one was the hottest, and then said it's probably her. It's probably her. It's probably her. That's all. Stephen A. Smith ain't do that. Stephen A. Smith was critiquing the reporting of all of it. But anyway.
As an organization could have done more, and short of doing more ahead of this yesterday, they could have owned that responsibility in this press conference. I understand that there were legal parameters that they had to operate within for everybody involved, and I appreciate the fact that they brought in outside counsel and did a thorough organization. And I think that that is something that was clearly necessary in this situation. But the fact that it was able to go on all day, the fact that we are sitting here debating whether somebody else should have been suspended or not, we are not here, Stephen A., to further blame women. That is not why we are here.
First of all,
now, yeah, I see. Before we hear Stephen A. Smith response, if you were listening in the beginning, you heard my thoughts on that, whether or not a woman should be fired. I gave a long take on that. I should have waited till right now to get a take, but I kind of stumbled into it when I was interacting with the chat room. But the fact of the matter is that two co-workers had consensual sex. It was a violation of policy that they were having sex. The way that it's set up, that woman in that situation does not have to get fired. Only the man in that situation will be fired because it's based off a position of authority. Only the head coach, the head coach, the GM, the GM and the owner of the team are probably the only ones that I could say they're probably higher ranking than the head coach. So he's one of the most powerful men in the organization. Okay, cool. We get that. And so it's a policy that says he can't have sex with the female employees because it's a power imbalance. Okay. I understand that rule. But so it's as if they're but when you make it to where the woman doesn't get fired, she understands the rule too. She understands that he can't have sex with her. But so does that mean that she's allowed to offer him pussy and she's not in violation of the policy? But if he accepts the pussy, he's in violation of the policy. If he's in violation for accepting, she should be in violation for offering or obliging. Or because I talked about earlier, I talked earlier, and then that's where we get into a slippery slope. Because what if he flirted with her and then she went and told, and then he's in violation, and then he could potentially be fired for something that he may or may not have done. So it's a messy situation. But I gave the scenario of an incompetent woman who was sleeping her way to the top. Some people, the situation that I know personally, an incompetent woman who was sleeping her way to the top. She was allowed to be incompetent. She was allowed to not know how to do her job. And when she had to take the test to find out if she knows how to do her job so she can meet that benchmark and go on to the next portion, to the next level, she slept her way to that next level. She had sex with somebody, start screwing the right person, and they start passing her on through. So she's allowed to barter and trade with pussy on the job and be incompetent, but barter and trade her lack of competence with pussy instead, and not get fired and not lose her job. She's allowed to be incompetent and barter and trade with pussy. But the man who the man who had sex with her, if it's found out, if it's properly reported, he will be fired. She won't. She gets to stay incompetent and find somebody else to offer pussy to. But he gets to be incompetent for accepting the pussy. he gets fired for accepting the pussy. So that's a weird thing. They're allowed to use the thing that the power that they have, their sexuality is set up in the rules to where they're allowed to use their sexuality, the power of their pussy, to try to move up. But if the person who's up there use his power influence to get some pussy, he's fired, she's not. Which means she could exploit her power, he can't. It's set up like that. And I really don't have the answer, Sway, because like I said earlier, it's wrong if somebody in a position of power, that said this to the daughter niggas, y'all got daughters, you don't want your daughter to get a job, you don't want somebody in a position of power walking up to her cubicle, tapping her on the shoulder with his dick saying, hey, you want to keep your job, don't you? You don't want that. So I understand why it's in place that a man cannot be in a position of power on a job and be fucking the employees. I get it. But there's no punishment for the women who are fucking the guy in that position. There's no punishment for them. There's no investigation for them. There's no penalty for sleeping your way to the top. You are allowed to sleep your way to the top, and once you make it to the top, you can get the person who you slept with to get to the top fired. That's how the rule. Those are the rules. Those are the rules. Shout out to Timekeeper in the building. Appreciate you coming through hard and heavy-handed with a $50 super chat. Appreciate you coming through. Trying to drop a bomb for you, but I can't find the bomb. Nope, I'm gonna find it. Shout out to Timekeeper. Do appreciate you coming on through. We got Sodomy and Chicken back in the building. He says, kind of sounds like handling the woman. It says, kind of sounds like handing the woman a gun. Yeah. Yeah. But shout out to everybody in the building. Appreciate each and every one of you. We just getting going here. We just stepping into it. We just stepping into it here. So let's move it along a little further. Y'all heard what she said. She came through. She tried to G-check Stephen A. Smith, hit him with a stop. We are not here to discuss that or to want to know about any of the women involved. We are here to protect women and all right. Let's go.
Let me be very clear. I don't appreciate where you're going with that. I'm not blaming anybody but Ime Udoka. He deserves, the fact of the matter is, I've said he deserved to be fired if they were going to fire him. If you're not going to fire him, then don't fire him. My issue is all of this being publicized. The point that I'm trying to make is just like you're not mentioning. Excuse me. I listened to you. You're the one telling me to stop on my show. It ain't happening,
bitch. Okay, he didn't say bitch, but that I said it for him. I said it for him. You don't that look like the face of a man who wanted to say bitch? Don't that look like the face of a man who wanted to say bitch? I got you, Stephen A. I'll add in the bitch. All right, back it up.
If they were going to fire him. If you're not going to fire him, then don't fire him. My issue is all of this being publicized. The point that I'm trying to make is just like you're not mentioning. Excuse me. I listened to you. You're the one telling me to stop on my show. It ain't happening. Okay, that's number one. Number two, I've already said he deserves to be fired, or he deserves to be there and handle it internally and privately. If you're not going to handle it privately, if you're going to publicize it in that fashion, then obviously it provokes everybody wanting to know, okay, well, who are the parties involved? When you have Amina Smith in Boston and other women pointing out the fact that there were women who were wrongly implicated in all of this, it's a disservice to them. I didn't come out with the report about a consensual relationship. I didn't come out with the report ahead of time leaking that they were going to suspend him for the year. They did that. And my point is, considering how pervasive this kind of stuff has existed in professional sports for many years, my whole point is that, excuse me, make sure that you handle it in the same fashion it has always been handled. You could have fired him, and then we could have speculated till the cows come home, but he's gone. But to keep him there, keep him employed, but in the same breath, suspend him for a year, then also that year is indefinite. That is the issue that I have. Nobody's trying to protect Ime Udoka, and certainly nobody is trying to protect, is to excoriate the women involved or anything like that. I'm talking about how things of this matter are usually handled from an HR perspective, from an organizational perspective. That is not consistent with what we have seen throughout the years. That is the only point that I was trying to make. I'm not trying to attack anybody. And if anybody deserves to be attacked, it's Ime Udoka for putting himself in this position. I've made that very clear. I'm just talking about you got owners and everybody else. They know the kind of stuff that's going on. You didn't say anything about anybody else. I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about them. They didn't say anything about everybody else all the other times this stuff has happened. But now when it comes to him, it's all over the place. That is my issue. That is my only issue.
All right. So what Stephen A is essentially doing right there, and a lot of people miss it. I don't know why Stephen A Smith get called a coon a lot. He was riding hard. What he's doing right there is riding hard for a black man. Because he's basically, okay, here's the deal. A lot of people don't know this, but the NBA, half of their coaches going into last season, or maybe going into this, definitely going into last season, and I think pretty much going into this season, half their coaches are black or people of color. I think 13 of them, it's 30 coaches in the NBA. 13 of them are black, and then it was like a sort of Asian coach and a sort of Mexican coach or something like that. So the NBA, they've addressed the issue where, you know, like 75% of the players are black, and so, you know, a lot of ex and former coaches get the gigs, get the coaching jobs and all. I mean, ex players get the coaching jobs is what I'm trying to say. My bad. And so what basically the NBA has done a good job. They you know, the shit that the NFL was under fire for or whatever, not having black coaches, the NBA actually addressed that problem without even putting in a policy in place. They start hiring brothers to coach those teams. What Stephen A is advocating for is that he wants to make sure that they still treated the same. He want to make sure that if something happened, it's just a violation of company policy, not breaking the law. That is a big difference. Whether you break the law versus violating the company policy, that is a huge difference. Those are two completely different things. He's saying from an organizational standpoint, handle it correctly. Basically, what he's basically trying to speak to what I think we do need. We do need to have like a black old boys network, because the old boy network is set up, you know, they do protect each other. There'd be people all the time getting fired for, you know, fraternizing some executive of some sort, might probably smashing a cheerleader. It kind of leak out. They sweep it under the rug. They do got to fire him, but they don't let it get all crazy in the media. And then that executive could end up, you know, still keep his name clean and go work for somebody else. You know, probably got to explain what happened, but he can go work for somebody else. That's what Stephen A is doing. Let's not drag this black man's name through the mud so much over some consensual sex to where he can't even go get an assistant coaching job for another team at some point in the future. That's what Stephen A. Smith is doing. So shout out to him. He looking out for a brother. And the chick, the sister, is coming through, riding in, basically saying, no, this dude is public enemy number one. He's the big black boogeyman, and that's all we should be talking about. That's all we should be talking about. That's what's going on here. Now, Stephen A. Smith G-checked the shit out of her when he said, you ain't going to be telling me what to do on my goddamn show. You ain't going to tell me what the issue is. You ain't going to tell me what angle I could take on this. You're not going to point out to me what's most important about it. What's important about this story to Stephen A. Smith, more so than protecting the women who had consensual sex, more so than protecting them, Stephen A. Smith, yeah, Pablo, riding in on her broom. What's more important to this was for Stephen A. Smith is protecting that brother. That's more important than protecting the women who had consensual sex. He's like, yeah, that's an issue, and Udoka is stupid for putting himself in that situation, but this is the thing that's important to me. This woman is calling into his show, working for ESPN, is basically saying, no, that's not what's important, boy. I'm going to tell you what's important. What's important is that we ride on, ride on Udoka for what he did. This is she want to make it a Me Too situation. She want to make him the big black boogeyman villain. You know, she basically like me and Hood Server to be talking about this all the time, how it be in a lot of situations when you look at it, it be a black woman vilifying a black man. She is on some no, we're going to vilify. That's what she's on. She's on vilify or nothing else. Vilify or nothing else. See, I don't even know all that. ELLL says, keep in mind, Bernard, that she have a white boyfriend. I didn't know all of that. I don't be caring about all of that, but I'm not going to front like that can't be averaged in the equation. 446 people in here. Make sure you hit the like button. Thank you to everybody supporting the stream. Shout out to No Excuse Entertainment. He says we need to start calling women like her the op. Yeah, no, she's definitely on it. But let's hear her response to Stephen A. Smith G checking the hell out of her.
I appreciate.
How you looking like? He still got that I'm trying real hard not to call you a bitch look on his face. He still got that look on his face.
Appreciate that clarification, and I think
issue.
I appreciate that clarification, and I think that getting back to Molly's initial question, that is what stood out to me from the press conference. My reaction to the press conference, and I appreciate you clarifying that, Stephen A., is that the only thing that was made clear to me in this is that we are missing a key piece of information here. That is my reaction to the press conference.
Obviously, random.
Go cry in the car. Go cry in the car, as far as I'm concerned. As far as I'm concerned, right there, she could go cry in the car. That's pretty much what she did. That's pretty much what happened there. Stephen, she came in, like Pablo said, flew in on her broomstick, thinking she about to G-check Stephen A. Smith, or like just play that, you know, that correctional role, that like she came in like on some mama shit. Like she's trying to be mommy in that situation. You know, stop. Like that's how I said. That's how I talk to my sons when I've had it. Like we not, you know, they're trying to explain it. So stop. What I said was what I said, and that's what's getting done. Stop. You know, like for real. For real. That's how she came in. That's how she rolled in talking to him. Now, just a little, just to drive home the type of chick that's working in ESPN, which used to be a male-dominated field, and they covering sports, which is male-dominated. But the amount of female staff that they have over there is changing the game. It's changing the whole. It's changing the whole game, the whole schematics, the whole everything with ESPN. Now, check this out. The Celtics, like I said, the NBA, they pretty solid on when it comes to hiring black coaches. They pretty solid when it comes to hiring black coaches. They are. They do a good job at that. More than half of their more than half of their coaches are people of color. I hate that term, but you know, but it's 30 coaches, 13 of them was black, and the other two were some variation of minority. So it's like 50-50 on minority. Black men make up a higher percentage of NBA coaches than their population percentage. So there's that. So technically, from a percentage standpoint, black men are overrepresented, as they say. Black men are overrepresented when it comes to being coaches in the NBA. But this is what happened. Now, when they fired / suspended Udoka, what did they do? They brought in another brother. Watch what this chick does. This is the same chick who tried to ride on Stephen A. Smith. Watch what she do here. Watch what she do here.
Zula will be the interim head coach here. You can see.
All right, this is the dude, another brother, light-skinned brother. I be cracking jokes, be calling y'all blackish, but you know, y'all in the club. I be just playing. I be just playing with y'all. But no. So they hired a light-skinned brother named Joe. I don't know about that last name, Mazzulla. I don't know what the hell that is. But they hired another brother. Y'all can see that, can't y'all? Okay, yeah, cool. That's perfect. That's perfect. They hired another brother. All right. Brought him in, so you know, think everything is fine. Brother slipped up on the job. They replaced him with another brother. Cool. Watch this shit.
see his resume on your screen. He's been a Celtics assistant coach the last 3 seasons after spending the previous 3 seasons at Fairmount State. And he played for West Virginia between 2006 and 2011, and now could become the NBA's youngest head coach at 34 years old. And we'd be remiss not to also mention that Mazzulla was arrested twice at West Virginia, once in 2008 for underage drinking and aggravated assault. He pled guilty, paid a fine, and then again in 2009 for domestic battery after an incident at Morgantown Bar. The domestic battery case never went to trial. It was settled in August of 2009. He paid a $100 fine and court costs, plus had to do 40 hours of community service. Now, that was 13 years ago. He settled and paid both fines. So, Woj, why are the Celtics choosing him as their next head coach?
Well, let's start with this.
Because he's qualified. Bitch. Okay. Y'all see how she did that? She brought up shit that was dealt with a $100 fine. So something that was dealt with $100 fine. I don't condone domestic violence, but 2009, it's 2022. She brought up some domestic violence from 2009. Like, are you kidding me? Some shit from 2009 is the reason why this man is supposed to not be able to be hired? Like, goddamn. So, I mean, like, I'm just sitting here saying, if back in 2009, when Malika was in college, I mean, if we found out that, you know, in order to pay some tuition, she sold some pussy, I mean, like, would that mean she can't be an ESPN anchor? Because we found out she sold pussy to pay for tuition back in 2009? Like, what can a woman do that would make her I'm trying to think of a trashy female equivalent thing that they could do to make them unemployable in 2022. Something that they could do in 2009. She went all the way back to did she damn near bring up a DUI in college? she damn near brought up a DUI in college, and then turned around and said, "Why are we hiring him?" Not condoning domestic violence. If he had a DV case back in 2009, hey, he was wrong. He was absolutely wrong. Okay, a domestic violence case back in 2009 does not disqualify you from being an NBA coach in 2022. It doesn't. It doesn't. Like, what in the hell? Now those men sitting there, I know but listen. I've been trying to explain. ESPN is in the middle of an unhostile takeover. All right. They're in the middle of an unhostile takeover. Why do I say that? And keep in mind, the images I'm about to pull up, these were mostly random, where I just typed in, I think I just typed in ESPN first take or something like that, and then just went clicking on every picture. Every picture you see, every time you randomly turn on ESPN, you're going to see women on the screen. Either it'll be like 2 men and 1 woman, that's 33%, or you'll see 2 men and 2 women like you see here, that's 50%. Or you'll see something like this: 3 men, 2 women. Okay, that's 40%. Then they got shows where it's 100% women. All right. Now, at face value, that's not a big deal, because they talk a big game about diversity. We need diversity and diversity. They're basically saying we need to hire more women on ESPN. Here's the catch. Here's what a lot of people don't average into the equation. If you look at people who got degrees in sports journalism, all right, look at people who got degrees in sports journalism. That's 80% male. Okay. If you get a degree in sports journalism or anything in that realm, those fields are 80 and 85% male. To work for ESPN, that is the Super Bowl. That's like making it to the NBA. To be on TV for ESPN, that's the non-athletes professional sports. Basically that's going pro for non-athletes. Basically, no ifs, ands, or buts about it. That's really when it comes to sports, that's the second best job in the world. The best job is being an athlete. The second best job is talking about the athletes. Flat out, hands down. 80% of the 80 to 85% of the people that go to college to get degrees that are that put you in the pipeline to get this job that only a small percentage of people get, 85% men. And then you look at the mere fact that the majority of people that do it are former athletes. Like look at like the two brothers right there, former athletes. I don't even know who that Dan Orlovsky is. He probably a former athlete too. So look at all the thousands upon thousands of ex-NFL players, the thousands upon thousands of retired NBA players, MLB, NHL. They all want that job. They all want that job. And then that small percentage of female athletes, because there's not as many professional female athletes, they want the job too. But just the sheer numbers of how many NBA teams it is, MLB teams, NFL teams, it's and how long those franchises or teams or sports organizations have been in place, it makes it to where that 80 to 85% of men who go into sports journalism, who are competing for those ESPN jobs, when you average in the pro athletes competing for that job, that makes it to that bumps it up well into the 90s of everybody who's competing for those jobs. All right, that bumps it into the 90s of when it comes to the percentage of men competing for that job versus women competing for that job. But when you turn the shit on, you see 50% women on the screen. You see 40% women on the screen. You see 33% women on the screen. And in some cases, you see 100% women on the screen. You want to know what that means? That means women have an unfair advantage. If they're making up less than 10% of the applicants, but at any given moment, they're 50% of the employees. They're overrepresented in those fields. We got to average that into the equation. So they're already overrepresented. They're making up 7% of the people that apply for the job. They're making up 7% of the people that apply for the job, but at any given moment, they're 33%, 40%, or 50% of the people on the screen, which means they got an unfair advantage of getting in the game. And now they're in the game and they're trying to police men that's been in the game for 30 years about how they're responding to a situation involving a man who just got suspended. Like, let all that sink in. That's what I'm talking about with the ESPN unhostile takeover. They have taken that they've executed an unhostile takeover of ESPN. And even when Mark Cuban got under that fire about all the sexual harassment that was going on at his organization, Rachel Nichols, who was one of the other women on ESPN, you don't know what she told her after they fought and got, they got that where they're overrepresented in terms of anchors, analysts, and sideline reporters, and even referees, and all that they're overrepresented and all that. But you want to know what she told Mark Cuban? She actually fixed her mouth to tell Mark Cuban, well, if you want to eliminate sexual harassment in your organization, the best way to do that, and it's proven the best way to do that, is to hire more female executives. Have more female executives. That's how you get rid of all of that. That's what she was basically telling him in that discussion right there. And Mark Cuban obliged, and he hired a black female executive, hired a black female CEO, and then in turn they hired 40% black female executives. So in the sports world, basically that's what we talk about. Men build it, and then women do an unhostile takeover of it. Like, that's essentially what's happening in a lot of sports organizations. Is definitely what's happening in ESPN, to the point to where Stephen A., a 30-year vet, been covering this shit longer than what Malika Andrews have even been alive. Covering it longer than what she's been alive. And by the way, she's sitting in that picture. She's looking at LeBron like she want to get Me Too by LeBron. So she can put her little fist in the air down, trying to ride for the women who had consensual sex with Udoka. She knowing damn well she would like to be harassed right now. You could see it in her eyes. She would love to jump off a Me Too moment right there. But anyway, that's the thing. That's the thing. So a full unhostile takeover took place with ESPN, to where Stephen A. Smith, who's been doing this longer than what this chick been alive, he's been covering this stuff. She thinks she could pull up and G-check him on what's going on and how he's covering the story about a brother whose name getting dragged through the mud over some consensual sex. She thinks that she could G-check him on how he cover it. That's some bullshit. That's some bullshit. But shout out to everybody in the building. Oh yeah, I didn't even play the rest of this. And well, after she she brought out all this man's allegations. First they talked about his impeccable record. Well, maybe not impeccable, but still good. Celtics assistant coach for the last 3 years. Head coach. He was the head coach of Fresno State. Had a winning record from 2017 to 2019, and he's a former player. Played for West Virginia from 2006, something like that. Played in 145 games. So he's a former athlete, former head coach for Fresno State, and been an assistant coach for the Celtics for the last 3 years. That's typically the resume of somebody who gets the job to be the first to be a head coach in the NBA. That's a typical resume. So it's no question as to why he got the job. But she's literally asking, why did he get the job? Because of this shit right here. Because of the shit she about to bring up from when he was in college and from 2009.
And now could become the NBA's youngest head coach at 34 years old. And we'd be remiss not to also mention that Mazzulla was arrested twice at West Virginia, once in 2008 for underage drinking and aggravated assault. He pled guilty, paid a fine, and then again in 2009 for domestic battery after an incident at Morgantown Bar. The domestic battery case never went to trial. It was settled in August of 2009. He paid a $100 fine and court costs, plus had to do 40 hours of community service. Now, that was 13 years ago. He settled and paid both fines. So, Woj, why are the Celtics choosing him as their next head coach?
Well, let's start with this. This is somebody whose character they really believe in, whose leadership they really believe in, and tactically, they think this is Joe Mazzulla has all the makings of a head coach in the NBA.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Why are they hiring him? Why are they hiring him? Because of what he did as a college student. A college student. That's what she's going to try to pull up. So he basically, I don't know what happened. He hit a chick. I mean, he settled it with a $100 fine. I don't know. It could have been anything. A chick could have splashed a drink in his face and he slapped the shit out of her when he was in college. Who knows? But either way it go, it got handled with a $100 fine. And she's sitting there. We would be remiss if we didn't mention what he did when he was 19 and in college. Like literally. Like, I'm just trying to think of like, well, what equivalent could a chick do in college that will get brought up in a situation like that? What equivalent could a chick do in college that would get brought up in a situation like that? Because I'm pretty damn sure that some chick who was fucking in order to pay tuition, she I mean, that's like bringing up a chick that slept with the professor in college. Like Malika Andrews. Now, why should ESPN hire her? There are reports that back in 2009, when she was a college student, that she slept with her organic chemistry professor because she couldn't get higher than a D- on the organic chemistry test. Like, that's literally what she did. Is that we would be remiss if we didn't bring that up. Like, if I found out that Malika Andrews sold some pussy in college to pay her tuition and just to get by, I don't think that this disqualifies her from being an ESPN anchor. So that's where I'm at with that. The link is in the chat. Y'all in here heavy. Let me get to the super chats while I wait to see who comes up and wait for somebody to come up and speak on this. But no excuse entertainment. Well, shout out to those who already came through. Sodomy and Chicken in the building. Shout out to you. Do appreciate you coming through. Timekeeper, Sodomy and Chicken once. Timekeeper with the $50 super chat. I do appreciate that. You came through hard and heavy handed. And no excuse entertainment in the building. Shout out to you. And also, shout out to Sodomy and Chicken again. He says, B-Dubs never had this much smoke for Chad Wheeler. Uh-oh, get out of there, man. Get out of there. Get out of there. James Wingate in the building. James Wingate in the building. The link is in the chat, by the way. The link is in the chat. At least I think. Did I put the link in the chat? Azrael said, yes, it does, Bernard. No. Okay, if you was a full-blown card carrying prostitute, but I'm just saying, if I'm just trying to think of something just a little deviant, you know, something just a little deviant that a chick could do. I sleeping him slapping a chick at a bar. Him slapping a chick at a bar or whatever the hell happened. That's that like that in 2009. That's very minuscule. That's very minuscule. I'm trying to think of an equally minuscule thing that would get her fired. I mean, that would be worth bringing up if she just got a job as a ESPN anchor. Could you bring up the time she was in college and she was sleeping with a professor to pass a test? Could you seriously bring that up? And then turn around. So why are we'd be remiss if we don't bring up the time she did that. You know, that's what I'm getting at. But James Wingate in the building says she realized, hold on, is that the last one? Oh, wait, hold on. Yeah. James Wingate in the building says she realized that she overstepped her lane on First Take, but she did it again on NBA Today to KP. He agreed with Stephen A. Then she dropped him off the show. Oh, Kendrick Perkins. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yep. I saw that. I almost had that one ready to go. Sodomy and Chicken back in here again. Says Screaming A. Smith might need to make a call and get her up out of there. She seems very toxic and sounds like a false EPAR case waiting to happen. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I mean, she sounds that's grape. That's the EPAR. Look at it spelled backwards for those that don't know. EPAR. That's a certain inappropriate and illegal sexual act spelled backwards. So yes, she do look like one of those cases. A fake EPAR case waiting to happen, unless it's LeBron James, because she is with whatever he offering. She is with whatever LeBron offering. But other than that, yeah, she's one of those cases waiting to happen. Freeman's Journal in the building says she went to LexisNexis for that information. She went to LexisNexis for that information. You can't just search that. Shout out to you. SKC in the building says you better start listening to Jason Whitlock. He warned niggas about. Oh wow, he warned niggas about Malika a long time ago. I didn't know about that. Irony that she asking how he qualifies when. Let me stop. No, let me know. Let me know what is it about her that keep her from qualifying. I don't know. Roddy God in the building says, it's okay. We got people coming on in right down there. Okay. Fins up. Let's go. Miami Dolphins defeat the best team in the NFL, the Buffalo Bills, 21-19. Okay. Bill Stryker in the building says this is a small example of what black men say about black women using media to degrade black men for decades. Yeah. That's what I said. It's a Manosphere moment taking place. Stephen A. Smith got caught up in a Manosphere moment. Mr. Tobin in the building says promoting leapfrogging women is happening in the NCAA/NFL officiating as well. I know a guy who worked twice as long as a woman, but she got promoted to the NFL ahead of him. Yes, we needed diversity and more females in positions of power, or she slept her way to the top. But remember the rules. It's legal for her to sleep her way to the top, but it's illegal, or it's not against company policy for her to sleep her way to the top, but it's against company policy for men to sleep with her. Like that's literally the rules, because they're in a position of power over her, which means she could offer it as much as she want. If they accept it, they're in the wrong. They get fired, but she just finds somebody else to fuck on up to the top. That's the game. Sodomy and Chicken in the building says he got the job as an intern head coach because Udoka might be back next year, so it had to be someone already on the staff. Oh, absolutely. Literally. That was literally the case. He was he was an assistant coach since 2019. He was a head coach at Fresno State. He used to play, and then he became a head coach at Fresno State. And he went from a head coach at Fresno State to assistant coaching for Boston for 3 years. And then I guess he was like the next man in line. So when Udoka got suspended, they promoted him on up. So yeah, that's how it worked. That's how it go. But anyway, we are joined by Nick Taylor. Welcome to the show. What is going on? What you got on this?
What's up, bro, man? How you doing?
Doing good.
Oh, man. Hey, excuse me. Early Monday morning. I figure I'd throw this in before. Well, I got a break in the action over here. Man, look. Question, bro. if Udoka was a white coach, would she have this much fire and vitriol for him?
I don't necessarily think so. I don't think so. I mean, there's an element of it where it's like the women united, like I talked about the ESPN female unhostile takeover that they're going on, where they probably make up 7% of the applicants, but like damn near 40% of the on-screen jobs. You know, so I think they're team woman all the way. I think they're team woman all the way, but I think it's a extra, added oomph of vitriol because it's a brother. So there's that.
Exactly. And the thing is, number one, that's one thing. Number two, going after the assistant coach, was he qualified? He's already a coach there. So he knows the system. He's been in their system for 3 years. Number one. Number two, he's actually a basketball player. Okay. How many kids? Now, I didn't get one, but who don't know of kids in college getting DUIs?
Right.
Who don't know? I mean, I didn't get one, but just because I didn't get one don't mean that I don't know of plenty that did.
They got Baker Mayfield on camera running from the police, drunk as a skunk.
Yeah.
I remember when that came out and Colin Cowherd was pissed. He was like, he shouldn't be drafted number 1. Because he had a drinking problem in college, and that's, but he got drafted still.
Yeah. It was insane that she asked, so why are they hiring him? Like,
yeah. Well, how are you? How are you there?
Go ahead. Yeah.
No, you're right, bro. But I'm looking. This is where we're at. I ain't pumping my own stuff, but years ago, I done a video on the female takeover ESPN with Hannah Storm and all this other stuff. I done that years ago, and I ain't even worrying about it. But what I'm saying is, I saw this coming then, with Jerome Jurinovich and Stuart Scott and Keith Olbermann and all the, Rich Eisen. That's when I watched the ESPN. This SHIT they got now, I ain't watched it in years. Bernard and brother on the panel. I'm sorry, what's your name, bro?
It's Azrael.
Hey, what's up, Azrael? Now, dig it, man. Who do you feel know more about men's sports? Men that played the sport, or women that went to some class to learn about the sport? And I say the same thing if it was women. Women, I would prefer women to do sports commentary on women's sports. There's plenty of former players. There's plenty of former coaches that can make up the staff to commentate on the female sports. I don't need a chick that ain't never took a snap, talking about, well, this running back and his numbers and this, that. Man, have you ever? No, the answer is no. It's a rhetorical question. You don't know nothing about football besides what you see on TV. I even had you say something about me. Well, what about you? I'm like, well, I played from Pee Wee League all the way up to United States Army football. I took more snaps than you. I took more snaps than you. What are you talking about?
See, my issue with them is not necessarily having a percentage of women, covering men's sports. Like I don't see that as a problem, but the percentage is too damn high. They're pushing for it like in the name of equality, it should be 50-50. That's how they're doing it. In the name of equality, it should be 50-50. But when you run the numbers, it really shouldn't be 50-50 because, like I said, over 80 to 85% of people that go into sports journalism are men.
That picture you got on the screen right now, bro. The picture you got on the screen right now. Do you think if you gave a playbook to any one of them chicks, they would know what they saying? Or if you gave them a ball, do you think they could throw it more than 10 yards?
I think I'll give them 10 yards.
20.
15. Somewhere between 15 and 20. Somewhere between 15 and 20. I don't think they'll necessarily understand a playbook because, after all, it's men who don't understand the intricacies of an NFL playbook. They understand what they're seeing on the field, but as far as the intricacies of the playbook, no, they don't know. But so no, I don't think these chicks know what they're talking about. But again, if it was the case that the number of women who were working on screen for ESPN more or less match the number of the percentage of the applicants, I would be like, hey, I guess that's fair, provided that they qualified in the whole works and everything. But when it's 50-50, like what we see a lot of the times on ESPN, but when we know that it's a field that every ex-athlete, I mean, it's a job that every ex-athlete wants. All the people retired NBA, all the people retired NFL, MLB, NHL, that all of them want that job. That mixed with the fact that 80 to 85% of people go into sports journalism are men. Men make up comfortably over 90% of the applicants. Women make up less than 10%, probably 7% of people actually vying for those jobs, but they're 50% of the on-screen talent, which means they got an extremely unfair advantage, and they coming in here smuggling in some bullshit. So that's what I mean, that ESPN unhostile takeover is going. I mean, how long ago was it? Did you cover that?
Oh man, it's been at least 5 or 6 years.
Yeah,
at least at a minimum.
Yeah, I wasn't even on it back then. I wasn't even on it back then. But yeah, it's staring you in the face right now to where you can't miss that shit. But we got another brother on the panel. What's your name? Hink. I think you're new to the panel. I don't know if I ever spoke to you before, but welcome aboard. Welcome aboard. What you got on this?
What's going on, fellas? How y'all doing this morning?
Doing good.
Man, I just think it's bad, to see this chick, man, who really I don't even think she's qualified to be on it. If she wasn't soft on the eyes, I don't even think she would be on that on the ESPN period. Truth be told, man, because I mean, let's just listen to her talk sometimes. She doesn't seem like she's really knowledgeable. They pumping a lot of information in her ear. I mean, she doesn't seem like she halfway knows what she's talking about. But for her to even bring that up, it's just totally unnecessary to me. What's the purpose for doing that? It's not even
None at
like
all.
13 years ago that happened. It's not even necessary.
Yeah. The domestic violence thing that she threw out there, it was something. I mean, if I'm not mistaken, I think she said it happened at a bar. Like, so it wasn't, that don't even sound like a boyfriend, girlfriend, he beating up his girlfriend type of situation. It happened out in public at a bar. That just sounds like an altercation, if anything. That sounds like a drink splashed in the face and a bitch. That sounds like that. That don't sound.
It very well could have been the situation, because I don't know if you ever been to West Virginia. They talk about how rough it is when you go down there and how some of the fans act. So imagine it might have been one of them days. He went to a bar to get a drink after a game. They might have lost. It might have been a tough game when we had a bad outing. And, some fan was giving him shit, talking about, hey, man, you lost the game for us. You didn't do this. You had this turnover, cost us the game. Well, so then he responded in an immature way, as most young adults, young kids do. They can't handle their emotions at that time. So he responded in a bad way. Did he regret it? I'm sure. That's why he settled with the situation in court. But for her to bring that up, man, I mean, it's just
whatever it was small. If it just took a $100 fine, whatever happened was small.
Yeah, and now I'm sure he probably got a little leeway because of who he was and who he played for too. But still, it wasn't big enough to make that big of a deal out of. Like you know what I'm saying, to the point it got settled, and they go on. That I'm sure the person who it was really don't want to press charges. They had to, because they had witnesses to say it's happened, whatever the case may be. To me, it's just totally uncalled for her to do something like that. You know what I'm saying? I mean, and now with my man, I don't think he's going to do a whole season. I wouldn't be surprised after the All-Star game, you wouldn't see him back on the sideline.
You think so, huh? That's a possibility.
It depends on how the season's going. It depends on how the season's going. The season. So they coming off of NBA Final, Eastern Conference champs. I would be surprised if they start off real slow. I would be surprised they bring him back.
Yeah, I you make a good point with that one. You make a good point with that one. that they went to the finals last year. So if they think that this man gives them the best chance at winning a championship, he will be back in the saddle before the end of the year. That will happen. But Sodomy and Chicken in the building says JJ Redick got a DUI at Duke, but they say nothing. Yeah, so why should he be drafted? Okay. Charles Merchant in the building says when you listen into the complaints of women, you risk losing control over your entire company and country. Woo! Get out of there. LB Crypto in the building. Now I have a hold on. Wait a second. Okay, I'm sorry, I got the phone ringing over there. All right. LB Crypto, man, get out of there. He said you got to remember it's owned by Disney. Next is going to be a transgender analyst. I think that's coming. That's coming. They'll probably start with either an openly gay analyst. He's the first openly gay analyst for ESPN. They're going to either start with that or just go full gangster with a transgender analyst. Yes, absolutely. And I see that, Rod of God. I just pulled that up. If it's a short enough clip, I will play it. If it's a short, okay, and it's not. You just sent me a 1 hour clip with no timestamp. Hold on, let me see. Hold on.
That's you got to do a little research on that one. On
gotta
that,
have some stamps, bro. We need stamps.
Yeah,
man.
he sent me a 1 hour and 26-minute clip with no timestamp, so I can't.
Folks do that to me on my stream, and I said, man, put some stamps in here. Let me keep rolling until you put some timestamps in here.
Yeah, help me out a little bit.
I
don't do 6 hour live streams. I know, man.
Yeah.
3 is my maximum. 3, man, that's even too long. Shoot, I'm ready to go.
Yeah.
So you
Give me some
tap out, huh?
Tap out, bro. Tap out. I try to keep it under 2.
He said I started at the right point. Wait, that's how it worked when you
He said it starts at 32 minutes and 24 seconds.
Okay. 32 minutes and 24 seconds. Okay, cool,
Yes, sir.
cool. All right, so we about to get we about to do some of this. I normally don't like to play stuff on here I haven't seen, but we about to go fair use. We about to roll some
beautiful bean footage.
I normally say not so beautiful bean footage, but this might be beautiful. We'll see. But all right. Damn it, trying to move. Okay, there we go. All right, let's give it a go. I'm at the 32-minute and 15-second mark.
They're going to ensure that this rule actually has real.
I keep telling y'all about the African American hookup. Angela Rye, another one of the mulatto. I'm ESPN right now is running what I call the ESPN AKA sorority. Angela Rye, Malika Andrews. What's the other one? There's another one of the L. Duncan. The Brigade of Light-Skinned Black Women. The AKA Ski-Wee. Y'all
goddamn fool, man.
Jason Whitlock is that dude. I don't care what nobody say.
I understand this crazy ass.
I don't care what nobody say. I rock with Jason Whitlock. I had to quit watching him because I was just stealing too much of his content, so I just quit watching him. But Jason Whitlock be on it, man.
He said the ski weeds.
Shots fired.
Hey, my lady's an AKA. She gonna like that.
my daughter's an AKA, so I can. My daughter, she Grambling University. My daughter's a graduate of Grambling. She's an AKA.
Oh, first of all, she's in Albany. She's in that AKA, and she's at HBCU. Ooh, that's double negative, ain't it?
All right, let's roll it. Let's roll it.
Alpha Kappa Alpha. You had to be half white to be an AKA back in the day, and it still goes on to this day. It's the super light-skinned African American sorority. Somebody over at ESPN, one of these executives, they don't like deltas, they don't like Zeta Phi Betas, they like the red bones.
They don't like Gamma Rose.
Stephen A, Dave Roberts, I don't know who it is over there. They've moved away from the Kari Champions and the Maria Taylors, and every African American woman that was a former member of the AKA or is a member of the AKA or can say ski week, somebody over there got a little taste for them, and they getting all the jobs over at ESPN. Doesn't matter if they know a damn thing about sports. What does Angela Rye know about the NFL? Maybe she's dated some NFL players? She ain't even had to go through the little fake BS that Mina Kimes had to go through to get her NFL hookup.
Real quick. Perry in the building with a $5. Perry in the building with a $5 cash app. Shout out to you, Brew. Appreciate that. And we also got D-Rock Den in the building for the $5 cash app. Says for Malika, what her feminist views make her terrible. But at PYT, pretty young PYT, pretty young thing, but I think you mean pretty young thing, but her feminist views make her terrible. All right, cool. All right, cool. Got it. Thank you everybody on the cash app in. So I don't know, CC. This is why I don't like to play stuff, even though this was funny as hell. I don't like to play stuff if I haven't seen it because I don't even know if he even talk about Malika Andrews specifically here because that's the topic. So it's not like he just riffing on ESPN hiring a bunch of light-skinned former AKAs because he said somebody on the staff got a taste for him. Somebody like them red bones. They said we got to get Carrie Champion the hell up out of here. No more Jamila Hill. Nah, we ain't doing that now. We don't do that here. They gotta be red bone. They gotta be former AKAs. All right, cool.
Hey man,
she had to write a couple of articles.
What's up?
No, what I was gonna say is Kamala Harris gonna put a bid in and get Jason Whitlock taken on TV. I see.
All right, let's roll it.
But now Angela Rye is sitting on ESPN across from Stephen A. with Stephen A. batting his eyes, looking like honey. These guys have no code. They're just running wild. This whole thing is a joke. And that's who Brian Flores, if he had any type of code, any type of comment, we know how Brian Flores gets down. Angela Rye ain't quite light-skinned enough for him, so maybe she has no interest for him. But he should be embarrassed.
Hey, I assume Jason Whitlock got a majority white audience, but man, he just talk about nigga shit like it's only black people listening. I swear he don't care.
You know how back in the days we used to try to keep shit in house. He said, "Fuck it, we open the door." He let everybody know our business.
I like the cat. I mean, a lot of black people don't like him because anytime if you don't make excuses for black pathology, 90% of the Negroes ain't gonna like you. So that means you doing something right because they don't say wrong, they just say they don't like him.
Yeah, no, true. I rock with Jason Whitlock. He call out people on their bullshit, like for real, and he don't make no excuses.
And when he mess up, I even seen one. He was like, he like, I need to correct myself on this when I said that, you know what I mean? And when I was out of bounds and whatnot. Mm-hmm. So I'm like, dang. So okay, so we do have a small sense of humility, more got a little more than I do, but that's a different story. But
yeah, he trying to steer black people out of the whole race hustling, race baiting thing, and he call out that shit all the time, and I like that, but see, a lot of black people that's truly the reason why they don't like him. Like a lot of people wanted to try to make the Udoka thing. They tried to make it, strictly about race. So I mean, I don't think it was as much about that. I do appreciate how Stephen A. Smith was basically, trying to talk about it from a perspective of if this was consensual. Yeah, I don't need to leak this stuff out there like it's
right.
like it was non-consensual.
He didn't take it. She gave it to him.
Yeah. So Stephen A.
Now,
Smith
he was wrong for taking it, but still, she gave it to him.
Yeah, but see, that was my central point. Is within company guidelines for her to give it. It's not within company guidelines for him to receive it. So that's why it's a fair question. Why ain't they both fired? So but there's that. But all right, let's roll some more of this. Let's roll some more of this.
That's who's out here championing, running their mouth for him. Somebody that don't know a damn thing about the NFL. They put some talking points in front of her and just say racism, Angela, and look pretty on camera. And Stephen A., don't she look good? They high-fiving off. Yeah, we rolling these AKAs right on in here to ESPN. You Deltas get in the back of the line. Y'all a little too dark for what we got going on these days. The Kari champion Maria Taylor era is over.
I've heard somebody say it. I don't know if it's true, but in my observation, it just seemed like it's true. All the AKAs be light-skinned, all the Deltas be either brown or dark-skinned, and then maybe one light-skinned Delta out of the clique. That's how it looks. So I've heard somebody deny that, but okay, that's just how it looks from outside looking in. That's been my observation. But all right.
We want some cream in this coffee. Everybody over there can hate my guts. Catch me when I'm lying. We are watching Brian Flores, who all he had to do.
That's facts too. Paul Game. That's facts too. That look, Zetas are fat. Yeah. That's been my observation.
Y'all ain't shit.
I know, seriously, that's been my observation. My observation.
Well, let me say this. My lady's brown skin, and she's AKA. So I guess they must have.
My ex-wife was dark-skinned and she was a Delta. All of her people that pledged with her, they are Deltas. And when they were pledging, because they knew how they dissed the other sororities, that's what they was kind of talking that same shit, about the Zetas being fat. So
it's like watching School Days.
yeah, basically. Yeah.
My daughters, they're like a shade lighter than me, a shade or two lighter than me, and they're AKAs.
Rod is confirming right there. He said, "Yep, my ex-wife, dark skin and a Delta." Yeah, I mean, we didn't. don't. They can't get mad at us for pointing the shit out, because they got their own little politics. They want to criticize men and say about our politics or our preferences, but y'all apparently got y'all own preferences in y'all organizations. Y'all is more exclusionary than us. We mess with a dark-skinned chick, but not y'all. Not the AKA.
Yeah, a lot of the fraternities and sororities, to me, that's why I despise HBCUs for one of the reasons. I have like 3 reasons, but that's one of the reasons. It's because they project a lot of plantation mindsets, and actually, funny thing, I was dating my last ex. She was Gamma Rho, but I was shocked because I knew she was in the sorority, but I thought she was an AKA because she was like light skin and green eyes, but she was more of like the nerdy type, so she wasn't like the quote unquote the ditzy blonde version of how AKAs are. But to be honest with you, I don't. They play into too many slave caricatures, and it's weird.
Yeah. Oh, and by the way, the Deltas, they called the Zetas at the campus out here. They called them Zeta Bears. Like that's what they called them, Zeta Bears. I don't know. That's all it being. Yeah, they was the Zetas was fat.
Like they could. What does that mean?
that was them calling them fat, calling them, Yeah.
Damn.
Yes.
Yeah. Heavyweights.
Yeah. All right. Let me roll some more. Let me roll some more of this real quick.
Dude was keep his mouth shut, and he was gonna get another head coaching job. If he didn't throw a little tantrum and feel this sense of entitlement, how dare the Miami Dolphins fired me the way they fired Adam Gase, Tony Sperano, Joe Philbin, and damn near every other coach that's ever come.
All right, so I think he done with the part. So yeah, he talked briefly about Malika Andrews. He did speak briefly on it. So but all right. So that there's that.
I wanted to point out one thing that he said about Brian Flores is I feel like it's incorrect. He said I believe it was, I forgot what's his name that used to play for the Broncos. They used to be a quarterback, John Elway. He said John Elway and someone else that was like a higher up in Denver. They came to Miami drunk when he was going for an interview, and they both came in drunk or whatnot for the interview, and he was like they were very like coherent, and he thought that was unprofessional. So he held a lot of stuff in, Brian Flores. So that's why I think his way of approaching it was wrong. But he was justified, I think, in making a complaint because it was some old boys network kind of stuff that was going on.
Yeah,
in my opinion.
Okay, a story to tell, and go check that brother out. I haven't been in your channel. I don't even know if YouTube. They don't be sending notifications sometimes, but that brother got a channel. Go check the brother out. He says ESPN. Well, moderator put his link in the chat room. ESPN is going to hire that dude that was fighting with Umar on. Oh man, go. No. Somebody, I forgot, I think that was LB Crypto who pointed out ESPN is owned by Disney. They are around the corner from hiring the first openly gay ESPN analyst or transgender analyst. That's what they're doing. That's coming down the pipeline. But Sodomy and Chicken in the building says, you pump and dump the hot feminists, don't keep them. Right on. I respect that. Hoop Jargon Media Network says, I'm a member of Alpha Phi Alpha. They're our sisters. Okay, okay, you're a member of Alpha Alpha. They're our sisters. They saying the AKAs or the Delta's your sister. This man is telling no lies. So I think he's talking about the AKAs. So yeah. No, listen, that's my outside observation. AKAs light skinned, Delta's brown to dark skinned, Zeta's fat. That's been my observation. That's been my observation. But yeah, man. But no, this was a crazy roundabout story. I don't really even care about the Nia Long. I don't think I even mentioned Nia Long in the hour and 42 minutes I've been on the air, because I don't even care about that aspect of it. You can just stand in any chick that he cheating on. That wasn't the important part to me. That wasn't the important part to me. It's worth pointing out that the chick that he was messing around with was also messing around on her husband. They both was cheating. So it was just a messy situation like that, but nothing illegal. And so what do you got? Go ahead.
I got an interesting point of view with that, because technically I don't believe him and Nia Long are married.
I really don't care.
No, so it's funny when people are saying, guys are saying, a lot of dudes are saying it's not really cheating, which I kind of agree with it in a way, because I think they just have an arrangement, to be honest with you, for public display, or for the public.
Yeah, I mean,
because they've been together for 12 years and he's not, and like for a while they were just a thing, and then they basically put out like, okay, they're gonna be engaged. I think that's more so for show. I don't really think that's, what I mean. I think he's allowed to do certain things and go out what he wants. I wouldn't be surprised if they're in an open relationship, to be honest with you.
And but to me, that's not the story. Like, I don't like this ain't the channel where we about to be clutching pearls. Oh my God, he cheated on Nia Long. I mean,
yeah, I hear you.
That's to me that ain't the story. That's why I wasn't going to even talk about it at all until I saw that what happened with Stephen A. Smith, and then so that did prompt a bigger discussion. It kind of for me it prompted a discussion about one, that female takeover of ESPN, their unhostile takeover, and the dynamics of a man can't sleep with a woman that he works with if he's in a position of power over her. And I understand that rule. I do understand that rule, but it's a nuanced problem in that rule, because there's no penalty for the woman sleeping her way to the top. but there's penalty for the man making sure. I mean, it's no penalty for the woman sleeping her way to the top, but there is a penalty for a man potentially using his position at the top to get some pussy. So you see, so that, to me that's kind of the story. But what's your thoughts on just that angle right there?
I wanna put it.
You know, so
Go ahead.
I think, man, you got to remember where they are. It is in Boston, and you know what? You're talking about one of the racist cities in the union. I mean, god damn, man. And for them to leak that shit out, it's just pitiful. That's just pitiful. And to me, it's overkill as far as a whole year suspension. I think a nice
Wait,
hefty
hold
fine.
on. What's I want to get your thoughts on the question or the dynamic that I threw out there. It's legal, it's perfectly fine, and not against company policies for the woman to sleep her way to the top. There's no penalty. It's no policy or workplace violation in doing that. There's nothing on the books that says you can't do that, but it's something on the books in virtually every company that's saying a man in that position at the top cannot have sex with somebody that's under him. Well, because he's potentially abusing power. He's potentially abusing power to get sex from her, and she's potentially in a position where she don't want to say no. You know, that's the argument. So it's illegal for him to have sex with her, but it's not illegal for her to sleep her way to the top.
But how is that not her abusing power? She's abusing her sexual power in order to get a higher position. So what's the difference? It's just it's a double standards. That's totally not covered. I guess that's what Title IX is all about, huh?
Yeah. Charles Merchant made a good point. He said hypergamy equals empowering herself, but he's deemed an abuser if it's her boss. I just want to say this too. It's a great point. Oh damn, I forgot. Yeah, get back to me. Just lost my point, but I was like, I had to point that out. Yeah, get back to me. I lost my train of thought.
Hey, I'm sure Danny Ainge been getting a little stray out there too. I'm sure.
I mean, well, Stephen A. Smith said, because look, Stephen A. Smith, he's an insider. He got the inside scoop on all that goes on, and he said it's fraternizing like that in practically every organization.
Yeah.
So it does. So that's why he's talking about not leaking it out. You know, if you violated policy on some consensual sex, but it was a violation of company policy, suspend the man, fire the man, do what you got to do. Don't let his name get dragged out there in the mud like it wasn't consensual and didn't make him unhireable. He wants his brother to be able to get another job in the NBA. That's what Stephen A. was trying to protect, and I respect him for that.
Yeah, because didn't he say that he was too good to let him go, but they want to try to send a message, so they suspended for a whole year to make him unhireable? Is that something? I thought I heard him say that. I could be misquoting him.
Yeah, I mean he said something similar.
Okay.
He said something similar to that. But shout out to Charles Morgan. He says hypergamy equals empowering herself, but he's deemed an abuser if he is her boss. Good point.
Correct.
Good point on that one. Good point.
But there's a part you leaving out, bro.
Go ahead.
No, I'm sorry. Go ahead, y'all. I'm sorry.
No. If you said it's a part we leaving out, I want to catch that now. Go ahead.
The advent of social media. I mean, look at, because I'm an old dude. Yeah, this stuff has always happened, but there was no such thing as social media. You didn't. How many words you get on Twitter? I don't know. I don't have Twitter. I mean, you can type in something and hit enter, and it's sent around the world in seconds flat. And every sports media personality has a Twitter account. And who gets the more hits? The ones that break it first. So stuff that they would sit on during the printed press days, because there was no bonus, there was no individual bonus for at such and such at Sports Center breaking this or such and such. What it went to the organization in the printed press days. But now, even because if you leave this new report and organization and you leave Fox and go to CNN, you leave CNN and go to sports, so you leave that, you're at Twitter, but it's still Bernard Riley, but now it's just at CNN instead of at MSNBC. You still Bernard Riley. It ain't used to be like that, bruh. That's the way we gonna put this out. is all about clicks and views. They own clicks and views stuff too. Look at all the stuff people do for clicks and views.
Yeah.
And then about messing around, like you said, Bernard, look, as a man in his position, even being he was a player in the league, you already know that there's unwritten rules that go under the written rules of code of conduct. Like I say, me, I don't give a shit. I mean, crap, excuse me. I don't give a crap that it's Nia Long. It could have been Nia Smith from round the way. I wouldn't give a crap. But when you see CNN's boss, Jeff Zucker, of the left, far left, CNN had to resign for messing with that, being in a relationship with a senior executive at his company. You know what I mean? It's CNN. You had to step down, but guess who didn't step down? She didn't.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. It's not against company policy for her to sleep her way to the top.
Right.
But it's against company policy for somebody at the top to sleep with her. So it's a fair question. If he's fired, she should be fired.
I agree. And we can't say it's about money because that Allison chick, she's the executive VP of marketing, so she making some freaking coin, now she ain't making his coin, but she making coin that'll make 90% of us go, damn. You know what I'm saying?
With all these women in executive positions, because I talked about Mark Cuban when he got into that trouble with all the harassment cases and stuff going on and leaking out at with the Dallas Mavericks.
Yeah, he was
tripping. He had to hire, had hired this black woman their CEO, and 40% of their executive positions were women. So now it's women at the top. Okay. I wonder how it works with all those female executives, if they sleep with somebody that's technically underneath them on the hierarchy in that company. Is it a situation where they're going to make the same argument? Well, she did like old girl did Marcus and Boomerang, like I wonder if they're gonna look at it like that. Like, did she abuse a position of power and put this man in a situation where he didn't feel like he could say no because this person was higher ranking than them and he didn't want to lose his job? And are they going to be firing these female executives if their goal and push is to get the female executives making up like 50% of the executive seats?
No, because chicks ain't gonna rat on each other. Chicks form together like Voltron. I mean, when it come time to heat, chicks can be at each other's throat, pulling each other hair out, cracking on each other's weave and whatnot, but then let it become them against male. They drop they beef. They form together like Voltron, and form that damn giant flying freaking robot just to defeat what they going up against. And then after they done defeated some space alien from this other galaxy, then the parts of the robot come apart and they go back to individuals. That's the way they get down.
So that sister code's on point, huh?
Oh man, hey, the blood of the covenant? Are you, man, the Yaya sisterhood? Look here, man. Look, that's the way they get down. If men had the same underlying code as they do, but most men don't, because they trying to screw the chick that's trying to F them over. Now make sense.
Yeah, well, I'm gonna come back to that super chat, but SKC asked a good question. He said, so Bernard, who wrote those rules into the Celtics organization?
Men.
And that's one of the points too. Men have basically capitulated at every turn when it comes to feminism and women in power or this or that or blah 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 blah. They've capitulated at every turn to where, like I said in my whole little opening setup, the woman on the ground at the lower level, she got all the protections in the world in the event that she start having sex with somebody higher up than her, but he don't have the protections. But in addition to that, they say to prevent men from violating these women that are underneath them, to reduce the amount of sexual harassment and fraternizing, they say that their argument is hire more female executives. So now you got women in the high executive seats running the organization, and you got the women at the lower level got more power over the now smaller percentage of men who are running the organization. And then if women are doing the firing, they bring in those women up to the point where they could either get moved up by the woman in the old girls network now, or they could still the percentage of men that are still in power, they could sleep their way to the top to get up there with them and not facing any penalty for doing it. But if anything leak out, that man is going to get fired and going to be replaced by a woman. That's why when Mark Cuban hired this woman, like I could play the video when he hired his sister to basically run the Dallas Mavericks, to be the CEO. He said, "Hey, I own it. You're running it." End of. Because he was under so much hot water because his old boys network got out of control. So when his old boys network got out of control, and then it just became a gynocratic, unhostile or damn near hostile takeover of the Dallas Mavericks. That's what essentially happened with that one. But
Hey, Bernard, I wonder if that's a thing that's across the board as far as all NBA teams. And the reason why they did that because of situations like Mark Cuban.
I don't know if it's across the board with every team at 40%, but I know he got his stuff down to that level because it got out of control. I'm
talking
out of
about
control
as far as the not having relations with coworkers.
I mean, when I worked at a job on an assembly line, that was the supervisor. The supervisor, he was over about, I don't know, 60 people on that assembly line. He could not have sex with none of the assembly line workers. Now, it was a lot of assembly line worker to assembly line worker fucking going on. There was a lot of that going on, but the supervisor, no, he couldn't do it. And it was no rule against him. It was no rule against him putting an offer on the table. He just had to say no. so there's that.
That's funny. The proposition could be made, but you can't accept the proposition.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's the point that I'm making here. That's my biggest takeaway. It's legal for a woman to sleep her way to the top, but it's illegal. Okay, let me not use illegal and legal. It's against company policy. I mean, it doesn't violate company policy for a woman to sleep her way to the top, but it is against company policy for a man at the top to sleep with a woman trying to sleep her way to the top, which means he's going to get fired and she's going to move up, or somebody's going to move up. And even if they get him out of there, even if she fill in his position, it don't matter if it's still higher up to go. It's still, or it's going to be somebody else for her to sleep with. They're going to replace him with somebody else. Or she could just move on and sleep her way up with somebody else. I mean, so that's how it's going to go. We hold your thought, whoever was trying to talk. But Ruckus Buck in the building says, if the rumor is true that the woman was the wife of a VP, see, I don't know if that's true. The organization is going to do their best to ruin your career. Now, I don't know if that part was true, but if that part is true, then now it makes sense that they it makes sense to understand what's going on and why when it comes to them wanting to leak it out and them want to get it messy on that. But Mad Max, hold on, wait, go ahead real quick.
I was gonna say, by the way, there was rumors that he got somebody pregnant. Somebody at the company pregnant. Sorry about the background noise. But they were saying that he got somebody pregnant. The reason how they found out about it allegedly is that the VP caught videotape on the doorbell camera videotape. You heard about that
earlier. Yeah, I mentioned that earlier.
I was gonna say this about the reverse being applicable, whereas a woman is in power. I would say when this came out, it dawned on my mind about the situation between Phil Jackson and Jeannie Buss. Actually, that actually made me think about it. I was thinking,
shit.
that was on my mind. That's why I was like, I forgot my thought.
That's a good one.
So I was thinking to myself,
Jeannie Buss is technically in a position of power over Phil Jackson. So
and they were engaged.
They could spin that the same way. It should have been some policy against that. I mean, the owner of the team. Okay, but fair point. I'm trying to think of how that worked. Like I said, the coach.
But she wasn't always.
As far as the amount of power that a coach has, only the general manager and only the general manager and the owner are two people that's wielding more power for that organization. And seeing as the the Los Angeles Lakers in that situation. It's not like it's just strictly her company that she just strictly owns outright. No, it's under the umbrella of the NBA, which has its own rules. And I'm sure within those rules, she was in violation in some way. But anyway, that's a damn good point.
I was also gonna add to the point that she wasn't always the owner too. Remember, she just became the owner right after around Kobe's retirement.
Mm-hmm.
So and they were dating when the Lakers were winning championships with Gasol and Kobe. So I know there's of course some obvious gray area. I wanted to go back to what someone was saying. Stephen A. Smith got. Hold on, I'm almost done. When somebody said Dolomite had a good point, I made the point. Wanted to point out. He said Stephen A. Smith got himself in a power position now, and he's checking these women left and right. He never did forget them ganging up on him all them years ago. Yep, I remember. If I'm not mistaken, it was Michelle Beadle that got him suspended because he basically said sometimes women initiate violence towards themselves. Like, I mean, what's the word? Instigate violence from the men that they're dating and whatnot.
Oh, see that? Yeah, I don't remember that. I don't remember that. That's interesting.
And Michelle Beadle tried to spin it off like he was blaming, quote unquote, victim blaming and whatnot. And he got suspended.
I remember.
He got suspended for a couple of weeks.
Oh, Stephen A. did get suspended for that.
Oh yeah, I remember that. And then TMZ reported him, and he had to like eat humble pie. Was like, I have to acknowledge that I was wrong. Yeah. So.
Got it. All right, Madman X, go ahead. You got the floor. You got the mic. What's on your mind?
Okay, so the investigation was done by a law firm, right? So when they give their findings, they're going to give legal advice and also PR advice. So the first thing is they couldn't fire him and not fire her because then he could file a lawsuit of discrimination because she broke the rules as well. So if they fire him, he could file a lawsuit if they don't fire her. Now, on top of that,
wait a minute. Are you sure about that? Because I know with a lot of companies, the person at the person who was a subordinate is not in trouble if somebody who was high above her had sex with her.
If it was the wife of the VP, she's not a subordinate to him because the coaching staff is considered a separate entity from the organization because the coach cannot fire people within the organization. He can only fire people on the coaching staff.
Oh, wait a minute. So if it was the wife of a VP, okay, then it wasn't somebody on the staff because that's what was reported. He had sex with somebody on the staff.
Yeah, but they didn't say coaching staff.
Okay, that's whether it's coaching staff or not. He had sex with somebody who worked for the organization. That's how I understood it. So you're saying it wasn't somebody. So let me ask my question. Are you saying it wasn't somebody? It's confirmed that it wasn't somebody that worked for the organization. Is that what you're saying?
It's someone who worked for the organization, but is not on the coaching staff.
I don't care about whether it's on the coaching staff.
No, the difference is that she wouldn't be his subordinate then. If it's the vice president of the organization, that person is not part of the coaching staff. So she wouldn't be his subordinate.
The vice president. I know. I hear what you're saying. That's if it so. Okay, so the person that he had sex with, is it confirmed that it was the vice president of the organization?
His
wife. Okay, so it's confirmed. Okay, well, all right. Make sure I got it right. So it's confirmed 100% because it was speculation and rumors. So it's confirmed 100% that the person he had sex with was the wife of the vice president of the organization.
That's correct.
All right. So
now it's possible that she could be part of the staff as well, but in that instance, she still wouldn't be his subordinate.
Okay, so then that's okay. So now the way that it was reported, I guess initially, as I understood it, that he had sex with somebody else who was on the staff that wasn't the vice president.
No, he probably did as well. They could have said it might be more than one woman, but the reason why it came out because it was such a high position person. That's the reason why the whole thing came out. And they're also saying that one of the teammates also confessed to Nia Long's her staff as well, to her manager, that one of the starting 5 players confessed to her that he did do it.
See, and this is why I thought it was somebody who wasn't that that important in the organization, because that's how I understood it. What Ruckus Buck is saying right there. You know, she handled travel arrangements for the team or something like that. You know,
if that was the case,
it wouldn't be a problem. Hold on, bro. From my understanding of it, it didn't sound like her job was all that important. So I thought I thought him violating company policy was him violating company policy in the sense that somebody who was technically beneath him in the company, he wasn't supposed to be having, sex with her, having sex with people that are technically beneath you in the company, because that's a violation of the company policy, like I said, where a man in a position of power can't have sex with somebody underneath him. But it's really more so of you fucked my woman, if it was a vice president type of thing, that if the vice president's wife is the one who got smashed, that's a whole nother ball of wax. But thanks for adding that layer into it. But Edward, hold on, we'll come back to that. But I do want to see what Edward Anderson got to say on this one, and we got Pablo in the building. So go ahead, Edward Anderson. What you got on this?
Yeah. What's up, everybody? I just wanted to add this real quick point. I'm actually not gonna be here too long. I know people think I'm lying when I say that, but so what's up, everybody? Here's the deal. One thing that doesn't get said is a lot of these things, yeah, dudes are capitulating and they really need to stop doing that. I'm really getting tired of men, and this is white men in this case, just to be fair. Dudes being on cruise control. Like, I really am. Men are supposed to think long term. And I get why Mark Cuban did what he did. Mark Cuban was like in position where he was about to be told he's gonna have to sell his damn team. And he don't want to sell his team. He was about to get Donald Sterling. He was like, I don't think he was like in the danger zone for that, but I'm sure that conversation was being had because he was making the NBA look bad in the situation that they did not want to look bad in. And that's when that stuff starts to rise to like the ownership fraternity. And you gotta remember, a lot of these ownership groups are corporations, they're corporate groups. They're not like they're not individuals like Mark Cuban or Jerry Jones. So corporations don't give a fuck. Or these investors, they don't. They're gonna be like, you fucking up the money. Okay. So with that being said, so I get why he did what he did, but this overall umbrella stuff, you gotta remember, NBA is more liberal than the NFL, so they tend to run the shit like that quicker. Versus the MLB is probably the most iron fisted when it comes to stuff like that. Because they have the strongest players union, and then you have the and in the NFL, I say the NBA is probably the worst as far as running to that point. But my point is this: in the long term, just like Sherry Sandberg talked about how men in corporate America are really not trying to deal with women. Remember, Mike Pence said that unless there's a man present, and that has an effect on women. Where do women find husbands?
At the job.
What are two places? College and the job. And what you're essentially doing is sterilizing that, and that's ultimately going to affect women, because that's going to affect their ability to tap into quote unquote men that could be considered high value, especially for these 92s and stuff like that. And you already know that all, like, if white America has the flu, it has a cold, we have the flu, so that's going to affect black women more. So yeah, you got this. So again, when these chicks wonder why they not married, again, a lot of these NBA players are players, because the way that, in my opinion, the white America sees it as far as the NFL is they look at it from an economic standpoint. The players make all this money. They clearly make more money than anybody other than the owners. As far as the other staff, the other half of that is the corporate structure of the 32 teams as well as the NBA. So they're always going to hedge against so many black men getting up in there, because it's like, the player money is your money. This is why even at the coaching level, you see some of them, but they're not in there like that. Which is one of the reasons why, in my opinion, Stephen A. Smith went hard at this. This idea that the black manosphere or black men, because this is beyond the black manosphere, this is in like black dudes that speak mainly on sports, are really going in on this too, which is interesting. Shout out to Ticket TV. It's not about Ime. Nobody really, he did what he did. He should be smart enough to understand that could blow up in his face. He went 1 year in and let that happen. It's kind of like, dude, you're going to fall on a sword. That's not the point. The point is they are trying to tag all black men with this. This is propaganda. And this is like where people can go to as to why you don't hire coaches, why you don't put black men in positions of general managership. And nobody's really articulated that like that. But that's why I saw Stephen A. Smith want to really go in on it. Because remember, Mark Jackson still don't got a job. There's plenty of black coaches that should have a job. They do not have a job. Remember, and you see Brad Stevens, where he was an effective coach, but he only went so far, and he got the Steve Kerr plan where they get to move move up. You know what I'm saying? And so the thing is, this creates an environment. Remember, we're just coming off of Deshaun Watson. So it's always a black man in the front of the consciousness. Again, Brett Favre should be in the media for like shit going down in Mississippi, but they use black men as a way of a variety of different purposes. So my point is, the women, they don't care. It's not that they don't understand. They don't care. They're making it like people are attacking Nia Long, when the reality is Nia Long has been used as this like virtue signal. She don't even want to be used as a virtue signal, but she's being used as
how is she used as a virtue signal?
Because in Black America in particular, this is what I'm talking about now. In Black America in particular, they're saying, "Oh my God, I can't believe he did this to Nia Long. Nia Long is perfect. How could you do this to her?" But no, just because
that was all over the internet on Shade Room and whatnot. Like, you see, it don't matter who you are.
Even dudes are like seeding that. Like, they're like,
that was weird.
Yeah, and my thing is, Nia Long made a statement saying that she ain't going nowhere because she know what's in. She's been with him for 12 years. She told him she didn't want to get married. So people are not attacking Nia Long because she's got some wins in this situation. She's got some L's as far as being with him, but he's gonna lose his money now. But my point is that don't try to make her a Jesus Christ figure that y'all about to create a religion out of and then say niggas ain't shit. That's because technically this dude is biracial and Nigerian American. But they're putting him in the black man category when it's bad stuff. And then white people will let that happen and ferment in the media because that gives them cover for doing whatever they want to do with this other shit about, okay, you punishing this dude, but you're not punishing her at all. Now, I get why that is if she's a VP, a VP wife. Because if they don't put her name out, it's really about him. Because they probably seeing him as being victimized. Then you add in this the Celtics, black man, fucking white man, white. They're not playing that game with no niggas in Boston.
I wanted to say this though.
Hold on. Oh, go ahead.
The thing with Mark Jackson, the reason why he didn't get hired is because he was against, of course, a lot of L. Gibbet stuff. And one of the higher ups in for the Warriors organization was like outright gay. So that was.
Hold on, let me make sure I got this right. Mark Cuban. Mark Jackson was on record saying something kind of anti-gay or
probably behind the scenes.
It wasn't like
Azrael. Hold on, wait. Are you? Is that what you're saying, Azrael?
He didn't say anything that was like inflammatory. He basically said, "As of my religion, I don't approve."
Yeah, because Mark Jackson is a pastor.
Hold on, wait. What did he say?
Yeah, he's like, I don't. Basically, yeah, what Ed said was right, and he basically more or less said he doesn't approve of homosexuality as a Christian man. He brought his religion into it. He didn't make any like quote unquote inflammatory, derogatory statements like calling them the F word or whatever.
Okay,
he just basically said that he was religious.
That explains. Okay, cool. That explains something that I, from a basketball standpoint, couldn't figure out why Mark Cuban didn't have a job again. It's not because they don't hire black coaches, because the NBA actually does a good job. Like half the coaches are minorities. It was like 13 of them was black, and then it was like Eric Spoelstra and somebody else that qualify as another variation.
13 of 32.
Another thing too. This is what I wanted to say.
No. Hold on. Time out. 30. Like 15 of them. Like half of them. Only half of them are white, and damn near the other half is black. So yeah.
Well, again, but hold on, because I wasn't done. Like I said, the coaching staff is one thing, but it's the overall corporate structure with the general man. It's a lot of other stuff to go with that. The coaching staff, and again. You're right. And again, the way they see it is they would say the same argument you're saying. And I'm not saying that's completely invalid. And then the coaches get paid more than like the corporate structure. That's how they'll see it, because they're looking at it from an economic distribution standpoint. And I'm not saying that argument is like a completely bullshit argument, especially with a lot. But you're still dealing with 450 players, and then the coaching staff. If you can add another. Let's add that to 600. Let's just do that versus the overall job positions in the other corporate structure, which is a lot more than that. And that is, I'm not saying that to say one is right, one is wrong. I'm just saying that that's something that people don't often think about as far as those perspectives on that. But again, going back to my original point is this.
Before you hold your thought on that original point, when he says NBA does a better job, I wouldn't say good.
I agree.
I don't know. I don't know
what
where
does
that
mean
should
better
be.
job.
But that's a different.
Wait, hold on. I don't want you to lose your thought on what was going on. I just want to say this real quick. I don't know where that number should be. If half the coaches are non-white, I don't know.
But I'm not just talking about the coaches. That's the thing.
I know. I wasn't talking about you. I'm talking about January Man. I'm assuming January Man is responding to what I've said about the coaches.
I don't think he is.
Okay, well then I'll move on.
I think he's talking
from
about all
that.
of it. I don't think he's talking about just the coaches. Because if you look
Right,
at just the coaches, yes, I would give you that argument. If you're just looking at the coaches, I would give you that argument. But we're talking about general managers and other stuff. Because here's why that's important. Yes, I understand a monetary standpoint, but like when you look at these coaches, like a lot of times black coaches are given bad deals. Yes, you have people like Doc Rivers that are exceptions to this rule, where it's like they're never given a bad deal. So I get that, but a lot of times. This is true in the NFL, but we're talking specifically NBA. They're giving bad deals. It's not money, but as far as situations, they don't have the kind of control that they always have. You have exceptions to this rule. You do, like Doc Rivers, but a lot of times they are put in situations where they are set up to fail, and because they're not represented in picking the players, like the general manager standpoint and stuff like that. And so again, it is what it is. I'm not here to say what's right or wrong. These are things that more people need to be paying attention to. My point though, and I'll hop off again. This thing, all you're doing is creating and it's funny because this is the shit the Game Changer kind of talks about ugly bitches that are high performing chicks that want to create a situation where pretty women can't leverage that. This is something Game Changer actually talks about, so I'll acknowledge that. But what you're doing is you're creating a sterile situation, because eventually, if it's a situation where what the women do, kind of how you articulated, how women hire women and then women at the bottom have protection, then dudes are just going to say, they're just going to completely pull back. And then the stuff that kind of helps with that, for instance, because there's monetary benefits to that. So let's say the quote unquote other women that's not the wife of a VP, there's monetary benefits that come with that stuff. Is you dealing and being in somebody's orbit. If it's just straight women do not like a situation where when I say it's straight business, it's that to the point where everything is sterile, because there's a certain emotional connection that gets pulled back to that women actually feel. This is one of the reasons why Sharon Sandberg said what she said, because she's a 2.0 feminist, a second wave feminist. Why she said, when Mike Pence said what he said, saying we can't pull back from, mentoring women. Well, the reality is you haven't created a check and a balance. Come on, man.
Bro.
Like, yeah, y'all gotta be quicker about the mute button. You have to, if you don't create that, and that's the thing that when I articulate these things in a situation where I'm dealing in the blue pill world or the purple pill world, I always come back to checks and balances. I challenge somebody to say, what checks and balances are there for men? Because all men don't never have power. There's bullshit about all white men don't have power. So we know all black men don't have power. That Good Old Boy Network is exactly that. It's a network, but that ain't every white man. So stop playing that game. So you can't this is why when women switch up and they say white men, but they'll say men, like a black man and a white man is the same. That's not, like they try to make it like black men are a part of the Good Old Boys Network too. That's bullshit unless they're making money. So my point is, where are the checks and balances? And when they can't answer that, there's your problem. And as long as there isn't checks and balances, men are going to have to do what they got to do, and the smart men are going to do what they got to do to protect their money and protect their shit, which is completely pull away, which is why you see dudes doing it in various differences, which is why corporate America is starting to be more sterile, and which is why a lot of these dudes are starting to come in as contractors and not as full-time employees, because they don't got to deal with the same general population of bullshit if they have the skill sets to do that. So what you're going to see is these women can be 40% all they want to, and then they're going to be looking for a man in proximity or where they are, and they going to find out ain't nobody there, and they can't say shit, because then it's going to be, this is what you was bitching about in the first place, because trust and believe, there are some dudes waiting for them to say that, or they start running them out too hard about that. Anyway.
All right.
Appreciate
it. All right. Cool.
I always want to say this. My bad.
Right, hold on. Oh no, that's cool. We got it. No biggie. All right.
I wanted to say,
Lil Big Nate new channel, because I think his old one his second one got hit completely. So he blazed up another one. It's at 102 subs. I was the 100th subscriber. I've never even. You just apologized for the train the truck riding by, but now you sound like you stapling papers in the background. But shit. Hold on. Wait, all right. So yeah. I didn't realize I wasn't subscribed to his new one, so I just shared it and subscribed. I want y'all to follow suit and do the same thing. Go subscribe to Little Big Nate. Even if you think you subscribe to him, you're probably not subscribed to him. That channel is going. He got a whole new one with just 100 subs on it. There it is. The link to it is in the chat room. Go and subscribe to it. Let's get that one rolling and off the ground. But all right. Okay.
Yeah.
We got Pablo in the building. Go ahead, Pablo. You have the floor. You have the mic.
Hey, how you doing? Am I crackling and popping today?
You ain't snap, crackling, popping today, man. You good.
Oh, that's what's up. So I want to explain something about this sexual harassment situation from someone who's actually been through it, and that would be me.
Okay.
So in 2006, I was working for a Fortune 500 engineering firm here in Atlanta. I was approached by a Black female coworker at the copy machine and whispered in my ear, "I would really like to suck your dick."
Damn.
Yes. So now I knew this person. She was the receptionist. We were cordial and friendly and, chatty and all that kind of stuff, flirty, but nothing had happened up to this point. But obviously I took this as a green light. Okay. Now, of course, I did not participate in any sexual activities on the actual job. I knew I'm smart enough not to do that. Right. So we chatted it up a little more, exchanged numbers, and I hit her up. We went out. We went back to her place, and I didn't smash, but we did, make out a little bit on the couch and this and that and the other. So there was that. I go back to work. This was probably over a weekend. It was either Tuesday morning or Tuesday afternoon at lunch. I get called into the office.
Oh, shit.
My supervisor tells me, "Hey, are you involved with this girl, the receptionist girl or whatever?" I said, "Well, yeah, we went out on a date and this and that." He said, "Do not talk to her anymore. Don't speak to her. Don't talk to her. Do not talk to her anymore." I'm starting to get a little defiant. Well, who are they to tell me who I can see and date and this and that? I said okay, but in my head, I'm like, yeah, right. Okay. So fast forward, I did kind of chill out on, having conversations with her at work. I did not speak to her much from that point on. But one day I walked, maybe a week or two later, I walked in and she was sitting at her desk, frowning and looking pouty or whatever. I said, "What's wrong?" She said, "Well, I haven't had a chance to have a break or even to go and get any lunch." And I was literally on my way out to Subway to get myself a sandwich. I said, "Well, do you want me to go and pick you up a sandwich or whatever?" She said, "Oh, would you?" Handed me the money. I go to Subway. I buy my lunch. I buy her sandwich. I come back. I hand it to her. By the next day, I got called in the office again. When they tell you to stop having contact with someone and you have contact with them again after they tell you to stop, because Ime Udoka was told to stop the contact. Do not call this person. Do not text them. Do not have any more contact with them. And he did. And that is why he got in trouble. Now, same thing happened with me. They wanted me to sign this statement saying that I had been warned about the sexual harassment policy and this and that and the other. And I was like, whoa. I was like, I didn't do anything. I was very defensive and all of this and that. Now, what I didn't know was this woman was already on the chopping block to be fired.
Mm-hmm.
And she was using me as a tool to try to save herself from getting fired. figuring if she started a sexual harassment complaint against me, it would she would be able to hold on. Now, luckily, my supervisors and everybody else knew that it was bullshit. So what they did, they just transferred me to another site, another job site. So I no longer had to be around her. And she did end up getting fired. But guys, I'm telling you, Ime Udoka is in the situation he's in. Number one, because he didn't read his organizational chart and realized screwing the vice president was out of line, because the general
the vice president's wife. Let's make sure we do proper reporting, because I found out, I thought the part about it, the vice president's wife part, I thought that was some nonsense that somebody was throwing out there. I didn't even know that part was accurate. I thought it was somebody, on the staff that was underneath him.
Yeah, it was the vice president's wife, who also works for the organization as the travel liaison or whatever.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Yeah, that was my understanding. It was something like, if you're just a travel liaison, you're not that high up in the company. Right. So that's where I thought they could pull the power, the power dynamic situation. But seeing as she's a vice president's wife, they can't really do that power dynamic situation. They basically suspending him on this is some personal shit. You fucking my woman.
Well,
it is a situation where they where he would, I see when Homeboy came up and said he got a situation where they couldn't fire him. They had to suspend him, because then he could play the game of you got to fire her or whatever. But all right, but go ahead, Pablo.
So what I'm saying is, we had a no fraternization policy at the company, meaning you're not supposed to be like dating each other and all that kind of stuff. So when they tell you to stop, and this is the key point, Ime Udoka's in a situation because once they told him, hey, you need to discontinue the relationship and do not contact this person, he did. And guess what she did? She picked up the phone and said, yeah, he contacted me. Yeah, he texted me. He reached out to me, whatever.
See, now we got conflicting stories. I thought they found out through the husband seeing the recording on the doorbell.
I'm not talking about how they found out. I'm talking about what happened after they found out.
Oh, they found out, and then it was like, hey, okay, they found out. Then it was like, hey, leave her alone. You got to dead this shit. And then they found out that they were still talking, and then she basically
she said he contacted me because she wanted to save her marriage and the embarrassment and all the rest. And he reached out again, and that's it.
Okay, so yeah. All right, now, yeah, that's a sticky situation. That's a sticky situation. But no, that was stupid as hell on his part to continue any interaction with her. I mean, it was stupid to start to begin with. I want to make that very clear. That, I was talking about workplace dynamic and the power position and power dynamic and all of that stuff. If I was him, just actually sleeping with an employee, like, no, dude, you want to sleep with somebody, you got position to. You're a famous millionaire, young in your 30s, still NBA coach. You got options, bro. Like he could have went somewhere else for it other than playing. Damn, that was just stupid. But no, good stuff, Pablo. Definitely good stuff. You added some necessary layers to this bad boy. Ruckus Buck, I think I read that's what he said. If the rumor is true that the woman was the wife of a VP, the organization is going to do their best to ruin your career. Yep, and that's why it's leaking out like that. And that's why Stephen A. Smith was basically saying, yeah, trying to leak this out messy. Yeah, if you're going to fire him. But then, they suspended him for a year, and they probably wanted to be so messy to where, well, okay, it's two ways to that. On one hand, they probably wanted to be so messy that this man is just out of the NBA forever. Or they don't want it to be messy, because then that VP is basically putting it out there that, yeah, your wife was getting smashed. If it get messy, then the details are out there. And then, so it's like, do they want the details out there so that husband can save face and they can say it ain't marriage? Or do they want it all out there to make sure he never get hired again? It just depends on which side of petty they want to play on. But Cafe Peru 504 says men in power equals grape only happens to only women. Grape only happens to only women. Okay, I think I understand what you're saying right there. Thank you for the super chat. Appreciate that. All right. Rod said number one. Okay. What else we got on this? Who else wanted to jump in on anything that was said there? But no, good stuff, Pablo. Good information. That was a personal story out of this world that firsthand what chicks be doing when firsthand what chicks be doing when they trying to pull the whole Me Too thing, trying to leverage a dude. And it's just, man, if it was women in those executive positions where she was trying to do that, they probably would have just went with her story and kept her there and got rid of you and used that as a way to not fire her. Like, goddamn. But all right, who else wanted to jump in on this? I think everybody muted. I think Azrael was trying to dive in on this. I got everybody muted.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
No, I didn't know I muted myself. But this whole thing is insane. And just like a lot of you guys, y'all done already hit the major bullet points. If it was being that if it turns out that it is the VP's old lady, I can't let you stay here because I can't look at you in all the meetings, you know what I'm saying? And here it is, you stroking my old lady, and the ones kill me with that. Yeah, but you can go home and still look at the old lady that stroked you over. So make that one make sense. I mean, make that one make sense. I mean, and wait a minute, since I said that, let me go ahead and say, why is it when a dude, when he catch his old lady rolling around, he want to go fight the dude instead of dealing with the chick? Now, if I knew you, like my old lady, I find out, all right, her and Bernard messing around. See, I'm mad at both of y'all. I'm going there because I know you, and I know her. But like, if I didn't know you, I'm not mad at you because you didn't do nothing to me. You don't know me from a can of paint. I'm going after her, but they be killing me with that crap. But anyway, they got to do something. So probably what's going to have to happen, he's probably just going to have to go overseas for a couple of years and coach one of them teams and then come back and coach a small college somewhere, something like that. That's pretty much what he's going to be doing. And then, but he got to ask himself, dude, was it worth it? You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Was she done? I get it. You didn't take it. She gave it to you. I get it. But here, hey, Bernard, here's a cup of coffee and I put some battery acid in it. You know what I'm saying? Here you go, bruh. And but Nick is got battery acid in it. No, but it's coffee too, Bernard. It ain't just battery acid. It got coffee in it too. I mean, it's a retort. I ain't even going to ask you, are you going to drink it? I know the answer is no. Because but that's what a lot of guys do. They piss off their whole life and their position and pockets and everything over something that you can get stumbling out of a club at 1 o'clock in the morning. I mean, make that SHIT make sense.
Yeah, all day.
Can I say something? Some people were saying in the chat, like Fatty was saying, he'd be all right. I don't know about the whole thing of him being able to go be rehired by another NBA team, but he's not even, I don't believe he's even 40 yet. He literally just cut his earnings in half, to be honest with you, because you don't become a coach and go through the ranks and the rank and files and cut your teeth, so to speak, just so that you can just have it blown all the way. He was not even 40 yet. He could have had a good 20, 25, 30 years of making prime money as a coach. Right. And it's not, you know what I mean? It's like you just hit your peak. It's like if you went to law school, right after you hit like your fifth year as a partner, you do something crazy. It's like, dude, like you just started making top dollar. He ruined his career, to be honest with you. He's not gonna get that money again. People saying he can go overseas. He's 45. He's gonna have to go to overseas for another 10 years so that it could all blow over. And where are you gonna go? You're gonna go either playing for like what the Caribbean leagues with Dominicans and the Puerto Ricans play, or if you're gonna go to China, like who wants to do that?
The Euro League pays a little more than them. The Euro League pays a little more.
Yeah, it's still not
NBA. I don't think he's going to lose his job.
Yeah, well, it's not the NBA, but you working. You eat.
But I don't think they're going to fire the man. I mean, do y'all think he's really going to get fired?
I think they're gonna fire him, and you know why I say that? Because people, I hear background noise.
I don't know. I think when hold on,
I was saying,
talking.
I believe they're gonna fire him because of the fact that they were gonna initially fire him, but the Celtics have this reputation of being a racist league. I mean, a racist team. So they're just gonna, off of put good publicity, they're gonna just keep him there, and then like have him wither off the vine and be like, okay, he's agreed to get like a small severance package, and they don't cut him loose. That's what I think is happening by Christmas time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, man, I really think they're gonna bring him back, though, man. I think they're gonna. It depends on how the season's going. I really think they're gonna. If the season's not going as they plan or expected to go, I think they're gonna bring him back. But if they fire him, I think if Pac's still around, he'll probably give him assistant coaching job on the bench, something like a player personnel type job. He'll do that for 2 years, then he'll move up to a head assistant, and then I think he'll be back in the NBA again if they fire him. But I think it'll be a big mistake if they was to fire him, man, because I think he's a good coach for real.
Yeah, well, wait. See, here's the thing. Not that fully taking in all the messy details of it. I don't think he can work for that organization again. I mean, they had to fire the VP. Like, you can't have those two working there. He didn't smash the man's wife like that. One of them got to go. So that's just that. That's just that. So I do think they'll probably end up letting him go or letting the VP go. But so far as his future prospects, if it just don't start looking too damn messy, and they actually view him as, man, this is a head coach that got a young team to the NBA Finals, he'll get hired again. But the thing is, it might be a shit job. It'll be a shit job for a team with no talent. But he'll probably get hired again. The only way this will turn into an unhireable offense is if it get to the point where, I mean, like if it just get dragged through the mud too messy to where hiring him is gonna, his allegations, and I say allegations because it was consensual. So, but if his allegations, and they did he did try to imply that there was a non-consensual aspect to it, but if it get out there that if it's so messy to the point to where hiring him is going to be, his allegations is going to be the story, other than that you hired a successful coach to try to take over your team, then some teams may stay away from that. But either way, let's see. Sir Hale Speaks in the building. Shout out to Sir Hale Speaks Network. I've been checking out your content. I'm pretty sure I'm subscribed, but if you're not subscribed, go check that brother out. He's doing good content over there. I've been low key watching in the clouds here and there on that, brothers. Thank you for coming through, contributing to the show. I do appreciate you. Do appreciate it. Moderators, if you can, drop his link in the chat room. That's good brother right there. But Osworld 123 in the building with a $10 super chat. Appreciate everybody who's supporting the stream. Appreciate each and every one of you. Go ahead. Somebody was trying to jump in.
Now I was going to say two things. The reason why I don't see them hiring him back, and honestly, I don't think they should, is because there was rumors that they told him, they already gave him the warning. It would just be stupid to just hire him back again. It would be like the third time, And there's also rumors that he did get somebody pregnant there. It just looks real messy. Yeah, and it's gonna smear the reputation of the organization. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean,
he's not that good of a coach. I'm sorry, he's not. I don't think he's as good as these claims to be, because when they played the finals, I don't think Celtics were playing with Jason Tatum and all, just like doing the ISO ball stuff. To me, I put him on the level of, what was that coach that coached OKC that used to play for the Rockets?
I know who you're talking about.
And Westbrook. I put him on that level. I think defensively, yeah, but for elite teams, I don't really think he's that great. I don't put him in the top 10 coach right now.
I can't go that route with it, because there's a lot of teams that had the talent of the Celtics, where they got just two real good wing players, but they normally don't, they don't necessarily go to the finals just because they got two good wing players. So I'll give him props as a good head coach.
Yeah,
I'll give him props.
And you can't out warrior the Warriors like that. You can't do that.
He didn't have no adjustments. Like it was just watching ISO ball between Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum. Scott Foster. Yeah, I just really, okay, he had some good defensive schemes, but he could never adjust. To be honest, I feel like somebody, what's his name that played, because I don't watch basketball as much as I used to. That's the coach for the Clippers right now. What's his name?
I don't know. I'm bad with coaches' names now. There's a time when I could name you every coach of every team.
Yeah, me too. You know, you start on other stuff, you forget.
You also gotta remember, it was his first year, though, man. As a head coach, it's not like he's a veteran coach. It was his first year.
Yeah.
So for him to do it his first year, that's saying something.
Yeah. That's
And
momentum.
and the great thing
Somebody said, hold on, bruh. Can you hear? I was saying somebody said Tyronn Lue.
Yeah, Tyronn Lue's a great coach because he makes adjustments on the fly. You know what I mean? I don't
see now. Actually, Tyronn Lue, if anybody, he's the one who falls in that category of a coach that got They fired that one coach from overseas and made Ty Lue the head coach. He inherited LeBron and got a championship. Like when they fired a guy and they brought in Ty Lue. Ty Lue inherited LeBron, Kyrie Irving and got him a championship. So and then now he go over there in the Clippers and he got fucking he got Kawhi Leonard and Paul George. So So Ty Lue is the one that's been blessed with good talent. I don't know if I could put Udoka all the way in that category yet, but I don't know. But somebody was trying to jump in. But shout out to hold on. He says Ty Lue a great coach. I ain't want to diss it. I ain't want to diss Ty Lue.
He is a great coach.
Nigga would, as you don't know what the fuck you talking about. I thought Ty Lue was I thought Ty Lue got blessed. You know, like you don't even know, you really don't know how good of a coach Steve Curry. Well, no.
They got
a nice system.
Quality coach.
Yeah, they got a good system. They ball movement. I give them props on that. It ain't just talent, but still, it's talent. So,
but yeah, Udoka's a good coach, man. This only is his first year. I mean, they was up 2-0 on Golden State, and they just found a way to jack it off because Tatum decided not to show up anymore. I mean, can you put all that on the coach? Because one of your best players decided to try to do ISO ball and it didn't come through. And it seemed like they had some type of dysfunction between Jaylen Brown and Tatum anyway. And it's showing even more when they offered this trade up for KD for Jaylen Brown. You know, he was in his feelings about that bull crap. So,
and this is why I say coaches like Tyronn Lue, even Steve Kerr. The reason why sometimes it's not about the X's and O's. It's about how you can manage egos for players. So like Al Boogie's like, what are you talking about? I'm like, it's more than just X's and O's. You have great offensive coordinators and great defensive coordinators, but they don't know how to manage the egos of their players.
But that's why hold on, but that's why we raise our eyebrow at you saying Udoka not a good coach, because the fact of the matter is you got Tatum and Jaylen Brown, two young, talented players that occupy really the same space on the court. They're really the same player. Like that's normally hard to do. You know, if one of them was more of a playmaker and the other was more of a scorer, that's more manageable. But you got two ISO scorers, and you somehow managed those egos and got to the NBA Finals in your first year. I give them props for that.
Yeah, defensive,
and that's why I'm glad somebody brought that up. Phil Jackson did both, and that's why I'm saying there's levels to this. I'm that's just my opinion, you know.
I don't want to go too ham in talking bad. That happens sometimes over here. We get off topic and talk about sports for the rest of the show, but I'm trying to keep it in pocket today. But y'all hit the like button. If you're new here, subscribe. All right. Let's see what else. I mean, we kind of covered every angle of this, you know. Let's see what else. I'm trying to glance at some show notes. I talked about that ESPN takeover. I did talk. Well, actually, me and Nick talked about that. But what's y'all talk? I guess Hick and Azrael. What's it? Let me ask the question. God damn.
My bad. No, I forgot something, and when you brought it up, it clicked in my head. Sorry about that. My bad.
But what's your thoughts on the ESPN unhostile takeover, where based off my estimation, I could be wrong, but just looking at how many people go into sports journalism and how many people are ex-athletes who want those jobs, I estimate upwards of 90 to 93% of the applicants for those jobs are male, but women be making up 40% of the on-screen talent, or 50%, or 33%, or all of the on-screen talent, which gives women that unfair advantage when it comes to getting that job. They making up like 7% of the applicants, but damn near 50% of the on-air talent. What's your thoughts on that one?
I don't want to be the impulsive one, so I'll let someone go first.
Go ahead,
in all seriousness, I wanted to say this though.
Go ahead.
Two things. This is why I honestly don't understand why Stephen A gets so much pushback. Stephen A is, if anybody goes hard for black men, it's Stephen A, first and foremost.
Yeah, I don't know why he get called a coon.
Do you know why? And the reason being is a lot of people don't like the fact that he, like what Nick Taylor has said about Jason Whitlock. Stephen A holds other black men accountable, and dudes want to say, oh, he's cooning, especially with the weed thing. And look at somebody like Josh Gordon, right? Prime example. That's what the whole thing, oh, stay off the weed. That was where that came from. Josh Gordon.
You mean, hold on, wait for it.
Say, do it again, please.
Stay off the weed. It's stay off the weed. And you can't stay off the weed.
I forgot I had that one in the chamber, but go ahead.
No, so here's the thing. Yes, and Black Trunks, I do watch. I've been watching ESPN since Skip Bayless was on there, since like the ASA 9, ASA 10, ASA 11, back in those days. Were around we used to have the white anchor on before Carrie Champion. I've been watching Stephen A for that long. The whole thing, for example, prime example, somebody like Josh Gordon ruined his career. Josh Gordon could have been the next Randy Moss. He could have been the next like Calvin Johnson, but the dude could not stop doing drugs. Or he couldn't be like what's his name, Michael Irvin, and like do some coke on the side and still be able to ball out. You know what I mean?
Yeah, Michael Irvin do a line of coke at halftime and come out.
Facts. You know what I mean? So it's like he people in a way. People it might sound cringy, but it's more or less tough love, right? He's trying to say, yo, like you guys are ruining your money, and Josh Gordon could have made bank, especially in Cleveland, where they didn't really had but Josh said Josh Gordon was an alcoholic. He used to do pills, do heavy weed and whatnot. And it's like now they're kind of trying to push it in where they're trying to make weed acceptable in the NFL. But it's like if you can't stay off weed, football season starts from September all the way to the at latest like late, right? You mean to tell me for like half the year you can't just stop doing weed and just focus on work, and you could be making, look at how many average players now are making like crazy money. And Josh Gordon now, he's on the practice squad with the Seahawks now. So that means he still has talent. How many times could he, despite being given all those chances? So another thing too with Kwame Brown problem with Stephen A is because Stephen A used to go hard on him for the fact that he was a scrub. He was a bum. I'm not gonna hold you. He
underachieved. That's what I've been said about Kwame Brown. It wasn't that he was just completely sorry. It was just given his genetic gifts, being that big, that tall, could run that fast, jump that high, that strong. Like he came to the league just at 18 with a grown man body, just like when LeBron and Dwight Howard walked into the league. It was like, man, they look like 10-year vets that been lifting their whole life. That's how Kwame Brown walked into that league. It was no justification for him to not,
however,
minimum, just be a
average
damn near
double
all-star.
Right?
Yeah,
average double. Average like 10 points, 12 rebounds kind of thing.
Yeah. It's no reason why he shouldn't have been able to just off putbacks and just being big and athletic, average, 12 points, 12 rebounds, 2 or 3 blocks. He could have been a DeAndre Jordan, could have had he wasn't the same player as Tyson Chandler, but damn, it's like he could have, like Tyson Chandler didn't have that much, he didn't have that much skill or talent, but he just figured out a way how to, get a double-double and a bunch of blocks and win Defensive Player of the Year. Like,
you play ball more, Bernard. I'm not sure how tall you are, but half of basketball is just effort, to be honest with you. Especially if you're on You can learn offensive skills is basically your motor skills, repetition, you getting up your
Yeah,
shots.
it's
You
like
know,
he had bad motor skills or something.
yeah,
It
when they say
didn't
he
make
had
any
small
sense.
hands, but but I don't see
That doesn't matter that much.
that was the excuse that they were trying to make. But but to me, it's like crazy. When I see certain plays, I'm like, yo, like when I was younger,
Wait,
Tyson Chandler was
Wait, time out. He
Black
says, "What the
Trunks. You
fuck,
got to
Tyson
come up
Chandler?"
here.
Shit. He says, "What the fuck?" Tyson Chandler was extremely talented. He was extremely physically gifted and athletic, but you couldn't pass him the ball in the post and think he's gonna do like a drop step turnaround up and under. He wasn't gonna give you no Tim Duncan post moves. He was just gonna run up and down the court, run fast, jump high, block shots, rebound, and get putbacks and catch alleys. That's not exactly talent. That's just I'm a genetic freak. That's what I mean by he didn't have that much talent. It's the difference between being an athletic freak of nature and having skill. He didn't have a whole lot of skills. They thought he was going to be Kevin Garnett because Kevin Garnett had skills. They thought he was going to be Kevin Garnett when they drafted him. He fell short of that and just became Marcus Camby, just a dude who was tall, could run, jump, block shots, and rebound. That's what I mean. All right, carry on.
But I'm apologies for cutting you off. But no, I want to say this about Tyson Chandler. Tyson Chandler was the JaVale McGee before JaVale McGee. All right, in a way.
Nah, I wouldn't give him JaVale. JaVale got other issues, but Tyson Chandler was JaVale McGee without a 70 IQ. So
damn.
I give him that. Like JaVale McGee could have been that player that I described, that 10 points, 10 rebounds, and a defensive threat out there. So that's what JaVale McGee could have been had he maxed out his potential. But anyway, Tyson Chandler was a beast. When I said he fell short of being Kevin Garnett and just became Marcus Camby, that's not an insult. Marcus Camby made an All-Star team before, so yeah.
But what separates them all from Kevin Garnett is just the work ethic. That's all it is. That's the biggest difference. Because Kevin Garnett in his first couple of games, he was putting up air balls. It wasn't like he was coming out balling out of control his first year. You just honestly, you just got to put the work in. I think a lot of these players, they rely on their athleticism, and then by the time they hit like their 7th year, and it's like their game gets exposed. And it's like, okay, you can't post up nobody, you can't face up, or you don't have no post moves, you don't have no sky hook, no nothing. You can't hit a little jumper off the free throw near the free throw line. You know what I mean?
That's technically okay though, because neither could DeAndre Jordan, but he was an effective player out there. So that's really that was the problem with Kwame Brown. Taking it back to Stephen A. Smith, he wasn't wrong about nothing he said about Kwame Brown. The shit was just obsessive. That's where it was like, okay, enough is enough, man. You've made the point. It's like you only could call him a scrub so many different ways. So that's why I was actually glad when Kwame Brown clapped back on him when Kwame Brown channel blew up.
It was funny.
Yeah, I was glad about that, but I don't agree with the merits of what Kwame Brown be saying about Stephen A. Smith is a coon working for the white man. He just say whatever the white man tell him to do. He's calling them Zaddy's boys or whatever. I mean, like, come on, man. Like that was nonsense. That was nonsense.
That's funny.
Yeah. So yeah, I wasn't with Kwame Brown on that, but I did like when he was punching back at the establishment. It was a moment where Kwame Brown said some shit about Stephen A. Smith, and Stephen A. Smith tried to clap back, and then Kwame Brown clapped back to that, and Kwame Brown clapped back had more views sitting in his car on the cell phone than what Stephen A. Smith got in the ESPN studio with all the bells and whistles. In fact, that was the most thumbs down video that ESPN ever put out when Stephen A. Smith tried to go off on Kwame Brown. So Kwame Brown was essentially Kwame Brown was the people's champ for like 2-3 months. Like, so I remember that. I respect that. It was live with like 70,000 people in that joint. Yeah, like 50,000. Right. Yeah, so yeah, I respected that.
It was like, what was it? Was it last year? It was Kwame and Kevin trended like half the year last year.
Yeah.
But one thing I would say about Kwame, I do feel bad for him that he was placed in a bad situation with Michael Jordan being there and them talking about how they wanted. I think Oakley was like threatening him, shit like that, trying to bully him and whatnot. that is a rough situation to be as a high school player, especially if you're looking up to MJ. I don't care who it was. I think that's gonna fracture your psyche. I think he probably should have got therapy for that and just moved on. He could have been a better player though. I still don't think that's sometimes you just gotta overcome those mental hurdles. I understand it's Michael Jordan. Yeah, he has a way of crushing people's spirit and will, but you should have got over that. That's just my opinion.
Yeah, but some people are not built for that though. Some people just not built to, like you said, just to get over it. Some of these kids are just not built like that.
Yeah, that's why I say get therapy.
You got grown ass men who can't get over shit that happened in their childhood. So some guys just not built for it. You can have all the therapy in the world, and they just not built for it. But to speak on the subject, the question that you had, man, I don't want to sound sexist, but I'm not entertained when none of them women are on them shows. I'm just not entertained by them because they all seem like they about the same way. They have very little to no knowledge, and if it were for somebody, one of their the producers speaking to their with all the answers, they wouldn't be entertaining. They're good. They're nice to look at. Other than that, I'm not entertained.
Yeah, and that was my biggest takeaway with this story. Like, I didn't care that much about Udoka. I more so covered the the female unhostile takeover of ESPN, and now how they're there trying to police the words of a man who's been doing that job longer than they've been alive. Like they basically saying, no, you need to cover the Me Too angle of this. He's covering it from a black man's perspective. Like, I want this brother to be able to get another job again. Yes, he stuck his dick where he shouldn't have stuck it, but I want him to be able to get another job again. They doing him dirty in the media. So that was the angle that Stephen A. Smith took, and she just wanted to say, no, that is not what we're here to talk about. So stop. Like, it was like, whoa, who the fuck you think you are? So, but again, that's what it is. That's what it is with ESPN. They bringing these women in. They doing an unhostile takeover. So there's that, and that's what I'm seeing with that. Shout out to Sir Tice. Said it's a super chat button gone. And hold on, mute it for a second. I'll mute you for a second, Heat, because you got a little feedback when you're not talking. But shout out to Sir Tice. Said it's a super chat button gone, and shout out to Jackie Jack dropping $5 super sticker on it. Do appreciate you. Do appreciate everybody who's supporting the stream. Appreciate everybody who's supporting the stream. Y'all definitely hold it down. Definitely hold it down. Appreciate each and every one of you. Appreciate each and every one of you. All right, we almost about to wrap this bad boy on up. We about to wrap this bad boy on up. I guess we'll get some final thoughts, final words. We'll start with Azrael and work our way on up to Nick Taylor at the top. So go ahead, Azrael. What's your final words on this joint?
I think that's having I would say some real controversy. Having the abundance or plethora of men that are on the ESPN panel. I think that's just a bigger microcosm of what we might be seeing in the space a little bit. A little bit of a takeover.
I made a comparison. I made a comparison earlier. I didn't stay on it too long because the difference in it is that YouTube is wide open, so anybody could look at what somebody else is doing and then just take aspects of the content, the talking points, the business model, the strategy, and then replicate it for themselves and just do it with titties. So it's like you really can't stop it. You really and there's people that they say is a part of the space that's really not. They grew up and blew up their channels in different algorithms, and that's just a way to try to insult the manosphere, to try to say y'all let women took it over. But I go over to some of those women's channel. I don't even see. I look at their chat rooms. I don't recognize none of them names. They in a whole nother sector. Like, so people just be talking shit. As far as
my thing is this. I don't have a problem with women having conjecture. I have a problem with women being in the space per se, but I just don't believe. I think when it comes to the authority and certain rights codes, I think it should be a little bit more exclusive. And sorry about the background noise. I believe it should be a little bit more exclusive, and I also believe I feel uncomfortable.
You said when it comes to rights and authority.
Hold on. What do you mean? When I said authority, meaning like, for example, if I'm on a panel and there'll be a woman over talking me or whatnot, or getting crazy. Like I've seen situations where they just let the woman run amok on the panels and they get to talk
no, it's somebody channel do that all the time. Yeah, I don't play that shit over here. That's where the bullshit come in. If you let a chick on your panel and she just popping shit, trying to just cut niggas' balls off, and you just sitting there letting it go, like
exactly. Or they'll let the woman gaslight the other dudes on the panel. I don't really. I think that should be an instant knock on that. Like they should just drop them.
Yeah.
And I also believe should take the Ramil route and let them pay a fee if they want to come into our space, because we gotta cut blood of our firstborn to get into their spaces, So that's my thing. But other than that, great show as always. Keep up the good work. I'll see you later.
All right. Shout out to Jay Freeman Blackman in the building with the $50 super chat. Do definitely appreciate you. Hey, I wasn't even talking about Lapeef when I said that. I don't listen to the Lapeef Let's Talk show that much, but I think they do have, I would say good back and forth debate and not just outright. I don't be hearing the chicks get annoying, but I don't be hearing outright disrespect. Like they just over there just cutting balls off. But I don't listen to it as much as some of y'all probably do. I probably need to listen to it more so I can give informed commentary on that. I wasn't talking about Lapeef. I was talking about a smaller channel where chicks come up with avatars cutting balls off. But I see good debate over there. I see logic pushing back and refuting some of their bad arguments and stuff. But I wasn't talking about them. But all right, where we at? Go ahead. Hink in the he said Laqueef. But go ahead, Hink. You got the floor. You got the mic.
Well, look here, guys. I don't know if check out Lapeef and Sunday, man. I'm on that show. I'm on that panel, so we do a whole lot of better commentary and interaction. As far as the women, you won't see the women be disrespectful or that shows no respect at all. So it's a good back and forth. So check us out, Lapeef on Sundays at 10 a.m. Central. 11 o'clock Eastern. So check us out there. But my final thoughts is black men, protect yourself at all times.
Right on. Good stuff. Wait. Hold on. Wait. Well, don't ever accuse me of capping. I don't cap. Damn it. Hold on. Let me mute you for a second. Don't ever accuse me of capping. I don't cap. I said I don't watch it that much, so I don't see everything over there. So I don't know if she pop off at them and then they just get quiet and cower away and don't respond. Then that's what I call a woman, or if it's a thumb on the scale in the favor of women. Like I don't watch it that much, so you can say I'm ignorant to what's going on over there and I need to check it out, but don't tell me I'm capping. I don't like that shit because I ain't gonna sit here and lie. I ain't gonna sit here and make something up. I said it's only one time that I can say I actually sat there and watched like a Lapeef Let's Talk like a whole hour through, and it was some intense back and forth debate. That's what I saw. Some intense back and forth debate. But I didn't see any ball removal. I just saw intense back and forth debate. It's not ball removal just if they said some shit. It's ball removal if nothing is said back. I understand that there's a such thing as a space where men and women can go at it and go back and forth and debate and argue and hash it out. Like I don't see nothing wrong with that. There's only a problem if the thumb is on the scale for a woman, where a woman could say anything, and then if a man says something back to her, then a bunch of simps run and defend the woman, so and then she end up getting the last word, and she end up saying whatever she want to say, but then the man is handcuffed and say nothing and can't say nothing. If that's what's happening over there, I got a serious problem with that. I don't watch it enough to know if that's what's happening over there. So let's be clear on that one. Akeem in the building with the $5 super chat. Shout out to you. I do appreciate you. Do appreciate you coming through. And yeah, from what I know about Kay and Kayla, they are ridiculous. I have seen them make some ridiculous points and stand in it. So yeah. Okay, Al Boogie is saying JR let those bras run wild. Okay, I'll take y'all word. If that's what's going on over there. I'll take your word. I honestly don't watch it that much, but some of y'all just say if it's women talking, it's out of control. But so I'll have to watch it so I can give an informed opinion on it. So there's that. And people who know me know I don't really watch nobody's content. There's only like 2 or 3 people where I may watch they shit damn near from beginning to end. Most people, I duck in, I watch 5 minutes, I get out. So there's that. But anyway, thanks for supporting the live stream. Like it says right there, Hink, I'm sorry I cut you off because I had to address something in the chat room. I like people saying I'm capping. I work hard not to make sure that I ain't saying no bullshit. Make sure that I'm being completely objective and honest as possible. So somebody tell me I'm capping, it's like they're telling me I'm lying, and I don't lie worth shit. But all right, go ahead, Hink, you got it.
No, you got to run your show how you run your show, big brother. Much respect for like I said, I'm on Latifah on Sundays, and it's some good back and forth. And yes, we do have women on her, and it's a good back and forth. They're respectful, that like I said, they don't disrespect. Even when it gets what we consider a little heated, but it's what I consider a little heated. It's not even heated for me, but some people may consider it a little heat. But they're not disrespectful, like you said. They're not in there trying to cut brothers' nuts off. So. But another thing is, man, like I said, I tell black men all the time, protect yourself at all times. Go get your blood work, go get your prostate and your colonoscopies. Go do what you got to do. Heart disease is a biggest killer of black men, so we need to take care of that. Get our mental right. You know what I'm saying? If that means we got to get on somebody's couch or in somebody's Zoom meeting, do what you got to do. There's nothing wrong with going to therapy, black men. I promise you not. And definitely make sure you make your doctor visit. Don't think you're an Iron Man. I know back in the day it was taboo for black men to go to doctors and see doctors. Hey, we can't live like that. We can't. We got to do better. So we won't be around for our future. We want to conquer the world. We got to be around to do it. So do what you got to do, fellas. Hey, Bernard, thanks again.
Hold on. What time y'all go on Sunday?
10 a.m. Central, 11 a.m. Eastern.
11 a.m. Eastern. Okay, cool. They sound good. Sounds good.
Definitely, brother.
I come through. I come through and check it out. It's hard to put on notifications for Lapeef because they dropping content every 15 minutes. I'm like, damn, my whole phone. At one point, my whole phone was Lapeef notifications. I had to turn that shit off.
No, it's a different vibe. It's a different vibe on Sundays, man. But they also like King's Talk. I don't know if you ever watched that on Tuesdays.
What?
It's called King's Talk, where it's nothing but men.
Yeah. I checked that out. No, I don't mind the women as long as the dudes stand on a square and don't capitulate. I don't mind women. That's where I'm at with it. That's where I'm at with it. But all right, man. Yeah, appreciate you coming through. Yep, no doubt. Appreciate you coming through. All right. All right, shout out to Jay Freeman Blackman. I hope I didn't just breeze by that $50 super chat too fast. I appreciate you. You're one of my biggest supporters as well, coming through, dropping hard, heavy-handed super chats on it. I definitely appreciate that. But Nick Taylor in the building, do appreciate you taking time from your busy schedule, running a company over there, but coming through, hanging out with us. So go ahead, what you got? What's your last final words on this? If you're still there, he probably done walked away.
Let me roll with y'all for a second. I throw my little bit in, and then I sit back and just let everybody go. But what somebody I was talking to earlier in chat, and I don't like doing back and forth and whatnot. And people, some people have this thing in their mind that if they can't fathom it, or if they didn't see anything or hear anything about it, of course it's not true. Last year, Minnesota Timberwolves fired their president of basketball operations, that Jerson Roses dude. Here in Texas, the Spurs, R.C. Slocum and Peter and Holt, the president of the Spurs, they fired a Veep and somebody from operations. But the thing is, you just don't know. You know what I'm saying? There's no big kerfuffle of dust up about it. Was it behind some chick, or was it nobody knows? They're just gone. You know what I'm saying? It's just a blip. It's just a blip on the screen. Now, that's that old, too many people have that tree falling in the forest thing. If they wasn't there to hear the tree fall, well, did it make noise? Well, no, it didn't make noise because I didn't hear it. No, it did make noise. You just wasn't there. Mm-hmm. Now, on that, I'm done with that. I guess we're just gonna have to wait and see how far it goes. Lapeef, I'm sub to them. It all depends on what they're talking about. I'll watch their little bits. Some of them chicks is crazy. Some of them are cool, but it just seems that. But I'm topic driven. If you know what I'm saying. I'm topic driven. It all depends on what they're talking about. Whether, because if it's something that don't have anything to do with me, or I feel I'm above it, I don't say nothing. I just don't go. But and on the Manosphere stuff, you notice the main people that always got something to say about the Manosphere. Now I am no official member. I'm cool with Manosphere folks and some not so much, but I don't understand why it seems like you get the ones that claim they don't like Manosphere content and don't watch Manosphere content. They're the loudest voices. They're the loudest voices. I'm like, damn. So why do you watch hours and hours and hours of stuff that you claim you don't like? That is the weirdest shit in the world.
Yeah.
Because stuff I don't like, I don't watch it. I couldn't tell you nothing about it. But anyway, bro, I tell people, look, man, stop it. Because the only thing you doing is you doing somebody else's dirty work for them. Now, if you just a hater for profit, just say you a hater for profit. Stand on it. Stand on it. You know, I can respect you for that. You know, I may not like it, but I'll respect you for standing on it. But that's all I got, bruh. I'm gonna get back here. I'm gonna make a couple of phone calls. I got somebody giving one of my drivers static at a place that we supposed to be picking up to tow it to the dealership. And it's just the weirdest crap in the world. Monday and Friday in the towing business is just flat out retarded. Oh, and Orlovsky, I'm messing up his name. The guy that's on the thing, he was quarterback for the Detroit Lions.
Okay, so yeah, so that yeah.
Yeah, he was a quarterback for a quarterback for the Lions, but bruh, show is growing. It got to grow some more, and I like how you know you don't let man, and you done the right thing as far as I'm concerned, because people will drop a bomb in your chat box thing and just hope you don't see it.
Yeah,
and you know it's just like anything else; it just grows and grows and it grows.
Oh yeah, that happened over here. I let the people that have what Omega Dreads calling the hate-gasm. They come over here and try to get off a hate-gasm on my show. I don't allow that shit no more.
Yeah, man. I mean, as soon as I see a weed growing up in the yard, I don't just cut it off. I pull it out from the root. So, but anyway, bruh, enjoy the rest of your day. All y'all in the chat, be safe, and I'm out.
All right, peace. Thanks for coming on through, and thank you, Hink 75. Thanks for having me. Absolutely. And I will try. My memory bad, but I will try to remember to check y'all out on Sunday on Lapeef. I will try to remember that. But shout out to you. Appreciate you coming on through. Thank you to everybody who supported the stream, whether you like, share, subscribe, super chat, Cash App, or just watched in indifference. I do appreciate each and every one of you. And with that said, ladies, okay, I think we got another Cash App coming through. Mr. C in the building with a $20 Cash App right at the buzzer. Right, well, yeah, right at the damn buzzer. Right at the buzzer. Shout out to you. Do appreciate you coming on through. Appreciate everybody who's been supporting the stream. Appreciate everybody. Anything else? I think that's it. So with that said, ladies and gentlemen, we are out of here. Peace. We gone.